Chapter 163. Thank you for your concern, Great Elder, but I don't need anything for the time being. Night Sorrow said. He now felt that he owed the Medicine Valley a lot. Although the conflict between the Medicine Valley and the Golden Flame sect would happen sooner or later, it was caused by him cutting off Zhanpeng's arm. If you need anything, go to your master or find me. The sect will give you whatever help we can. You have given the Medicine Valley hope, and you are also the hope of the Medicine Valley. The Great Elder looked at Yishang with eyes full of admiration. The fact was just as the Great Elder said. Night Sorrow found the Holy Cauldron Sutra, which gave the Medicine Valley hope to rise again. Similarly, a young and outstanding disciple like Night Sorrow was also the future of the Medicine Valley. I will work hard. Night Sorrow could feel the care and kindness in the Great Elder's eyes. Later on, I may have to go to the Enshrined Pagoda. If you have any questions, use my token to find me at the Enshrined Pagoda. The Great Elder instructed. Great Elder, you are so biased. You are so good to 13. You didn't take care of me like this back then, Yang Lei said, curling her lips. Ha, don't compare yourself with your little junior brother, the Great Elder said with a smile. Yang Lei nodded. She was just saying. The Great Elder's prestige in the Medicine Valley was extremely high, even higher than that of the Valley Master. Before the Valley Master took office, he was the Great Elder and did things fairly. While chatting, the group arrived at the Golden Flame Pavilion. There were many people gathered at the entrance of the Golden Flame Pavilion. In the middle were hundreds of disciples of the Golden Flame sect, and outside were disciples of the Medicine Valley. They had already formed an encirclement. The leaders were Yan Beibei, Duan Lei, Gong Xian, and Chu Lingxiao. Seeing Yu Yangyu, the Great Elder, and the others, the disciples of the Medicine Valley made way for them. Qi Tianqing, have you decided? Yu Yangyu walked out of the crowd and asked the leader of the Golden Flame sect, Qi Tianqing. Yu Yangyu, has the Medicine Valley decided to shed all pretense of cordiality? Have you thought of the consequences? Qi Tianqing said with a gloomy face. Don't talk to me about the consequences. Today, the Medicine Valley will only give you one choice. Will you retreat or not? Yu Yangyu's answer? Are you trying to bring calamity to the Medicine Valley? Or do you think that the Medicine Valley can contend with the Golden Flame sect? Qi Tianqing roared angrily. He was really depressed. Yesterday, the Golden Flame sect had sent an order to prevent Qi Tianqing from clashing with the Medicine Valley. It would be best if they could intimidate Qi Tianqing, but if not, they would retreat temporarily. The actions of the Southern Dipper sect and the Walkabout sect had already put the Golden Flame sect in a passive position. I don't know if they can resist. But let me tell you, as long as you don't retreat, no one from the Golden Flame sect will survive in Danding City. Yu Yangyu glanced at the disciples of the Golden Flame sect and said, Yu Yangyu, the Golden Flame sect will remember what happened today. Let's go. Qi Tianqing glanced at Yu Yangyu coldly. Ignoring Qi Tianqing and the others who were walking out, Yu Yangyu gave a strong order. From today onwards, kill anyone with the symbol of the Golden Flame sect who enters the Medicine Valley. Qi Tianqing, who had walked a few meters away, trembled. He knew that the Medicine Valley had really turned hostile. All the members of the Golden Flame sect left. The tense atmosphere in Danding City eased. No one wanted to start a war if possible. Yangyu, call back all the people you sent out. In the future, the people of the 12 Peaks will take turns to be on duty in Danding City. We'll discuss the issue of the City Lord, the First Elder said. Under normal circumstances, Ao Yushan could be the City Lord. But now that the situation was unstable, Ao Yushan couldn't control the situation. This operation had nothing to do with him. He couldn't get involved at all. After that, everyone dispersed. Yi Shang and Yang Lei followed the group back to the City Lord's mansion. The peak masters of the various peaks also arrived at the main hall of the City Lord mansion. Let's put this matter aside for now. But something can happen at any time. Danding City is the most important city. We can't afford to lose it. Ao Yushan will be the Deputy City Lord. Choose another City Lord, the First Elder said to the Fourth Elder, Lu Chenyun. I have no objection to the First Elder's arrangement. Lu Chenyun nodded. Although his disciples' power was taken away, he understood that this was the general trend. During the next election, the elders and peak masters all recommended Gong Xian. Gong Xian has entered the 5th level. He's more than qualified to be the city lord. But he has other tasks. He can't be the city lord of Danding City. The first elder rejected directly. During the next election, Yang Lei was naturally put on the table. After all, there were very few people in the Medicine Valley in recent years. It could be said that almost no one had entered the 5th level. Yang Lei's ability was obvious to all. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation Master, I have no problem killing people. But I can't be the city lord's disciple. Yang Lei stood up and said, "Ah, that's true. What do you think, First Elder?" Yang Yu looked at the First Elder. Capable people do more work. Yang Lei, don't decline this matter. Yushan, you have to cooperate with Yang Lei. If I find out that you have any ulterior motives, don't blame me for being rude. In addition, I'll set up the position of Deputy City Lord. Qingshan, you'll stay and assist Yang Lei. The First Elder made another arrangement. First Elder, why don't I stay? Chu Lingxiao said. You have other arrangements. Otherwise, why wouldn't everyone recommend you? Qian Wu said before the First Elder could speak. At this time, Su Chunbai was frowning. The Second Elder hadn't made any arrangements for the people of the 9 Yin Peak. This was the time for the peaks to expand their influence. Hearing Qian Wu's words, Chu Lingxiao nodded. He also wanted to contribute. Since the sect had other arrangements, he had no objections. In addition, the First Elder announced that a month later, before the sect's disciple recruitment ceremony, the Medicine Valley would hold a sect meeting. The Grand Supreme Elder and the Valley Lord would attend. This let everyone know that there would be a big change in the Medicine Valley. After the announcement, the First Elder asked everyone if there was anything else. Qian Wu suggested that this year's disciple recruitment ceremony should be more grand. They should attract more talents and give more rewards to the disciples who passed. The First Elder nodded and agreed. Then, he let Yang Yu make the arrangements. Yang Yu asked the peaks to send people to inform their subordinate regions. There were still 2 months. Time might be tight, but there was still time. After the meeting, those who should leave left. Ao Yushan also gave up the mansion next to the City Lord's mansion. That was the residence of the City Lord. Yang Lei also asked him to arrange a place for Bai Qingshan. There were no outsiders in the hall. Only Yang Lei and Night Sorrow were left. Yang Yu said, Old Jiao, I know you don't like trifles. But right now, Danding City really needs someone who can control the situation. You know, even among the elders, only a limited number of people have reached the 5th level. During this critical period, even if an elder becomes the city lord, he won't be able to control the situation without strength. Chapter 164. This is related to experience and strength. How can you be elected if you are not strong enough? You were elected not because of experience, but because of strength, Yang Yu said. 9th Senior Sister, if you don't want to take care of the trivial matters, it's simple. Don't we have 2 Vice City Lords? Just let them do it. You just need to take care of them. If you can't, just set up 2 protectors and let them do the work, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yes, Old 9. You don't see it as clearly as 13. This is the way of managing people, Yang Yu said with a smile as he looked at Night Sorrow. Then isn't eldest senior brother more suitable than me? Yang Lei asked with a puzzled look. There will be some personnel changes in Medicine Valley. According to the current trend, I may not stay in Taishan Peak. The new peak master will either be your uncle Master Tai Tsang or your eldest senior brother. Yang Yu didn't hide anything from his disciple. I see. Then what about that bastard Chu Lingxiao? Isn't he very strong? Even the elders of the sect approve of him, Yang Lei asked. He also needs to take on a big responsibility. All right, Old 9, stop complaining. The City Lord of Danding City is a lucrative position. If you manage it well, it will benefit your future generations. Can't you see that Ao Yushan is unhappy? His Ao family has been the City Lord before and has received many benefits. Now, It's his own fault for failing to live up to expectations, so he can only step down at this juncture, Yu Yangyu said with a smile. Disciple understands. Yang Lei didn't say anything else. She knew that this was the truth. If she chose to marry and have children, then her future generations would receive great benefits. Yu Yangyu stayed for a while before leaving. He still had many things to deal with. The first elder and second elder had let him handle many of the sex affairs. Junior sister, Bai Qingshan and Ao Yushan came back. Bai Qingshan greeted with a smile. Disciple greets the city lord. Bai Qingshan could call his junior sister directly, but Ao Yushan didn't dare to call her by her seniority. Lu Yangyu and Duan Lei were martial brothers, so Bai Qingshan was very close to Yang Lei and the others. He was Lu Qinyun's disciple and Yang Lei and Bai Qingshan's martial uncle, but in terms of closeness, he was much weaker. In the future, I will trouble senior brother Qingshan and vice city lord, Yang Lei said. Bai Qingshan nodded. He understood that Yang Lei would be in charge of Danding City in the future, but there were some things that Yang Lei would not take care of personally. Don't worry, city lord. I will do my best. Ao Yushan expressed his loyalty. After reporting the situation, Ao Yushan left with Bai Qingshan. Ao Yushan only left a few servants in the mansion. The others were taken away. He was very unlucky this year. First, his grandson offended Night Sorrow. In the end, he lost his spirit stones and the Dragon Spring courtyard. Now, he had to give up his position as the city lord and the mansion he lived in. Luckily, the Ao family was rich and had other mansions. Later, let Qiushue, who is 6th senior sister's servant, come over. We need someone to take care of your daily life. Night Sorrow looked at the empty mansion and said, The Dragon Spring courtyard also needs people? Yang Lei was not used to it. This huge mansion would be her home in the future. The Dragon Spring courtyard has Hai Luo and Luo Wei. Little Six is also very capable, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, you arrange it. It's better for us to have one more place. Yang Lei nodded and didn't refute Yishang's words. Dragon Spring courtyard had Hai Luo, Luo Wei, and a few others managing it. There was also the manager Little Six who ran outside. There was no problem at all. Yang Lei brought Night Sorrow around the mansion. Although the mansion was not as luxurious and romantic as the Dragon Spring courtyard, it was more solemn. While looking around the mansion, Yang Lei also arranged a room for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow did not refuse. This was Yang Lei's kindness. After staying in the mansion for a while, Night Sorrow left. Yang Lei wanted to send him off, but Night Sorrow did not agree. Yang Lei had just become the city lord and had a lot of things to do. After leaving the city in the beast carriage, Night Sorrow returned to the Dragon Spring courtyard with Tianyu. Looking at Aoi, Night Sorrow told her about the situation in Danding City. He could see that Aoi was very anxious. 9th junior sister became the city lord? This is a good thing. Seems like the Golden Flame sect does not dare to start a war. Aoi felt more assured. No one wanted to see a war where both sides suffered. Plus, Aoi knew that Yu Yangyu was going to take over as the Valley Lord. If a war broke out now, it would not be good for her master. Then Aoi called Little Six and asked him to send Qiushu to Yang Lei's mansion in Danding City. After eating, Night Sorrow went to cultivate. He knew that the Golden Flame sect would not make any moves in the near future. They would be quiet for a while. What he needed to do was to improve his cultivation as soon as possible and try his best to reach the 7th level of element gathering tier. Then, he would be able to take the reinforcement pill and reach the 8th level of element gathering tier. At that time, the annual spirit gathering formation on Taishan Peak would be activated, and he would have a chance to reach the 9th level of element gathering tier. The following days were just as Night Sorrow predicted. After the Golden Flame sect retreated, they did not make any moves. After all, the Southern Dipper sect was still fighting. Night Sorrow cultivated hard every day. Every few days, he would go to the Tianji Tower to check the missions. If there was something suitable, he would do it. If not, he would return to the courtyard to cultivate. On the other hand, Yang Lei was a bit busy. However, she spent most of her time in the Dragon Spring courtyard because she was used to living here. It was more convenient for Yang Lei to go back and forth. She was the city lord and had special privileges. She could ride the green condor to patrol in Danding City. From the city lord's office of Danding City to the Dragon Spring courtyard, the time wasted was from the city lord's office to the city gate. It would take more than 2 hours to collect the beast carriages. After leaving the city gate, it would only take a while to fly to the Dragon Spring courtyard. Time passed quickly. Night Sorrow's cultivation improved very quickly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. During this time, Night Sorrow had completed 4 bronze missions. His cultivation had also reached the late stage of the 5th level of Element Gathering tier. This was mainly due to the effect of the top-grade Soul Gathering pill. His cultivation of the Book of Myriad Tao was also very fast. He had also reached the late stage of the 3rd level of Muscle Strengthening. However, he had to stop cultivating and return to the Medicine Valley. The Medicine Valley was going to hold a sect meeting. The second-generation disciples of each peak and members of the law enforcers and above had to return to the sect to participate in the meeting. Night Sorrow actually knew the purpose of this meeting. It was to announce some changes in the members of the sect. It was a big change. After returning to the Taishin Peak, Night Sorrow saw that his senior sisters and senior brothers had all returned. He and Aoi were the last to return. 13, you've grown a lot taller and stronger during this time, Tai Tsung said with a smile. Chapter 165. The Medicine Valley's sect assembly was held at the square in front of Danding Peak. This was an internal assembly of the Medicine Valley, so there was no need for anyone to attend the ceremony. Therefore, the location of the assembly was different from the disciple recruitment ceremony and the sect competition. When Night Sorrow and the rest arrived, there were already tens of thousands of people at the square in front of Danding Peak. This time, the Medicine Valley's sect assembly only required the participation of second-generation disciples and law enforcers and above. There were no restrictions for other members. It was best if they could come, but it was fine if they didn't. Therefore, many people had arrived. There were many chairs placed at the front of the square. These were the seats for the absolute upper echelons of the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow and the rest arrived at the location of Taishin Peak. There were a few chairs for the elders of each peak. This time, Night Sorrow and the rest didn't have a seat. It was the same for the other peaks. The peak masters of each peak sat in the second row of chairs at the front of the square. The seats in front were for the elders. As more and more people arrived, there were fewer and fewer empty chairs. Yu Yangyu, the first elder, the second elder, and the rest had all arrived. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking about when the assembly would begin, more people arrived. Night Sorrow recognized one of them. It was Yu Yangyu's master, his grandmaster. There was another person who looked like an immortal. He was wearing a long robe embroidered with the pattern of Danding Peak. Beside this person, there were 2 elders in black robes. Both of them had white hair and beards, but they were in good spirits. After seeing these people, the people on the main seat stood up and bowed to greet them. Even the first elder cupped his hands. You may begin. One of the elders in black robes gestured with his arm and sat down. An old man wearing a long robe with a cauldron pattern walked to the front desk. I'm Hua Yunpeng. First of all, I apologize to all members of the Medicine Valley. I've been in charge of the Medicine Valley for so many years, but I haven't made any achievements. This is my dereliction of duty. Fortunately, the first elder has maintained the order of the Medicine Valley. From today on, I will no longer be the Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. But what I can promise is that I will never give up the glory of the Medicine Valley. As long as there is a battle, I will stand at the front. Even if my blood splashes 5 steps away, I will not let the honor of the Medicine Valley be damaged. After Hua Yunpeng finished speaking, he took off the long robe with the pattern of the cauldron on it and put on the tight battle robe. Then he bowed to the main seat and the disciples of the Medicine Valley. The reason why he took off his clothes and bowed to apologize was that the dignity of the Valley Master of the Medicine Valley could not be blasphemed. The picture of the cauldron was the symbol of the Valley Master of the Medicine Valley. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just not good at it. A black-robed elder stood up and took 2 steps forward to help Hua Yunpeng up. Thank you for your understanding, Grand Elder. After straightening up, Hua Yunpeng handed the robe with the pattern of the cauldron on it to the first elder. The first elder took it and handed it to the elite disciple behind him. Don't blame yourself. Everything is fine in the Medicine Valley. You're seeking a breakthrough so that the Medicine Valley can have more deterrent ability. Sit down. After comforting Hua Yunpeng, the first elder walked to the front of the stage. Today's sect meeting is mainly to announce several things. After the elders' discussion, the Grand Elder has decided that Valley Master Hua will no longer be the Valley Master and enter the worship tower. From today on, he will be the Grand Elder. In addition, the new Valley Master will be selected. The new Valley Master will be Yu Yangyu, the Peak Master of the Taishan Peak, the first elder announced. After the first elder's announcement, everyone began to applaud. The three Grand Elders, Hua Yunpeng, and the other Peak Masters were all applauding. The inauguration ceremony will be held before the apprenticeship ceremony. Yang Yu, now use your full power as the Valley Master and make the next arrangements. A Grand Elder said. Okay. Yu Yangyu walked to the front of the stage. Since I've taken over as the Valley Master, I'll first announce the personnel transfer arrangements. Since I've just taken over as the Valley Master, the position of Taishan Peak's Peak Master will be vacant and will be taken over by the eldest disciple of Taishan Peak, Gong Xian. Gong Xian has entered rank 5 and will have no problem taking over as the Peak Master. Because Gong Xian is still young, he will be assisted by the Taishan Peak's Elder Taizong. Does anyone have any objections? After the announcement, Yu Yangyu looked at the main seats. The Grand Elder, First Elder, and the others nodded. Even if they had objections, no one would object. Yu Yangyu had just taken over as the Valley Master and they would only support him even if he was wrong. They had to establish the prestige of the new Valley Master. As for the personnel arrangements, they had already been approved by a few people. Next, they continued with the personnel appointments. Danding Peak's Chu Lingxiao will be the Peak Master of the 9th In Peak. Because Chu Lingxiao was still young, the second elder will also be assigned to the 9th In Peak to assist him. Then what should I do? Su Chenbai's face turned ugly when he heard that his position as the Peak Master had been taken away. He did not care about anything else and stood up immediately. Just follow the arrangements. Why do you have so many questions? Second Elder Qian Wu reprimanded him. Then Yu Yangyu looked at Su Chenbai and said, I have just taken over as the Valley Master and have a lot of things to deal with. I need help. Peak Master Su, you can come to the main peak to help. A smile appeared on Su Chenbai's face and he sat down. After sitting down, his expression changed again. He originally thought that his position had been promoted and he would be in charge of the Medicine Valley's overall affairs. However, Yu Yangyu did not arrange any new positions for him. At this time, he could not stand up and question him again. Also, Cloud Sea Peak is in charge of recruiting new disciples this year, right? This year, the main disciples will be sent to 9th In Peak, Taishan Peak, and Crepe Myrtle. These three peaks need to recruit new members. The other peaks will be given the chance first. Yu Yangyu made another arrangement. After announcing some changes, Yu Yangyu returned to his seat. At this time, the first elder came to the front desk again and said, I have something to add. The mayor of Danding City used to be the protector of the Medicine Valley. Now that the Medicine Valley is in a delicate situation, the mayor of Danding City will be an elder of the Medicine Valley in the future. He can mobilize any disciple under the elder rank. Chapter N, Section N$K. A great elder walked to the front desk and said, The Medicine Valley has been baptized for countless years and gone through countless difficulties. It's time for its rapid development. From today onwards, all disciples will receive double the original resources. In addition, we will treat the Golden Flame sect with respect. Although the Medicine Valley is not as strong as them, we are brave. As long as they are in the Medicine Valley, we will kill any Golden Flame sect disciple on sight. Then, the first elder announced that the meeting was over, but the senior members continued to discuss some things. Congratulations, first elder brother. Night Sorrow turned to Gong Xian and cupped his hands. Wu Qi and the others also cupped their hands and greeted him. Even the elders of Taishan Peak did the same. This was not a matter of seniority. In the Medicine Valley, the authority of the Valley Master and the Peak Master was unquestionable. Even the Valley Master would not easily intervene in the affairs of the peaks. Don't worry about it. Let's go back, Gong Xian said with a smile. He had already known about this arrangement. Chapter 166. Su Chenbai was from the Golden Flame sect. Yu Yangyu and the Great Elder had mentioned this to Night Sorrow, mainly to remind him not to get plotted against. From today's arrangement, Night Sorrow could see that the Medicine Valley had begun to control Su Chenbai. Chu Lingxiao taking over the position of Peak Master of the Nine Yin Peak was to remove Su Chenbai's real power. Qian Wu was the previous Peak Master of the Nine Yin Peak. With him assisting Chu Lingxiao, even if Su Chenbai had trusted subordinates in the Nine Yin Peak, they wouldn't be able to cause any trouble. In addition, once Su Chenbai arrived at the main peak, he would be under complete surveillance and control. Without a position, it would be impossible for him to mobilize the forces of the Medicine Valley. Night Sorrow was satisfied that Gong Xian taking over the position of Peak Master of the Taishan Peak didn't affect him much. He didn't want anyone to come to the Taishan Peak and order him around. After returning to the Taishan Peak, Tai Tsung arranged for everyone to have a meeting at the Taishan Peak. Night Sorrow and the others sat in the main hall. 13, you're going to Danding Peak. If you don't have any objections, pack up and go there later, Gong Xian said to Night Sorrow. Eldest senior brother, why? Why doesn't the Taishan Peak want me? Upon hearing Gong Xian's words, Night Sorrow was so agitated that his eyes turned red. To him, the Taishan Peak was his home. 13, what are you thinking? Master is worried about you, so he wants to bring you there. How can we not want you? Gong Xian stood up and hugged Night Sorrow, patting Night Sorrow's back. I'm not going. I'll tell Master that I'll be fine at the Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow said after taking a deep breath. Yeah, I'll tell Master too. We'll take good care of 13, always said. That's fine. Actually, I can't bear to part with 13 either, Gong Xian said with a smile. All right then. If not, your junior master will go talk to your revered master. When you're free, junior master can just run to Danding Peak a few more times. Tai Tsung chuckled. Master will agree to it. 13, my little rundown house on Bamboo Forest Peak is yours. Later, I will have someone repair it and build a loft, Gong Xian said. Thank you, eldest senior brother. Night Sorrow bowed. But you have to visit Master more often at Danding Peak. Every time he goes there, he won't feel at ease without a single disciple by his side. Gong Xian reminded Night Sorrow. Don't worry, eldest senior brother. We will all go, always said. Really, this valley head position means nothing to Master. He might as well live comfortably at Taishan Peak, Yang Lei mumbled. Yang Lei, you can't say such nonsense. You're an elder now, do you understand? Tai Tsung glared at Yang Lei. After the meeting at Taishan Peak, Yu Yangyu returned with the Great Elder. Gong Xian, is there a problem? Yu Yangyu sat down and asked Gong Xian. No problem. It's just that 13 still wants to stay at Taishan Peak, Gong Xian said as he stood up. That's fine too. If there's any problem, you can find me at Danding Peak, Yu Yangyu looked at Night Sorrow and said. Master, I can't bear to leave Taishan Peak. This place is like home. But I will visit Danding Peak often, Night Sorrow said guiltily. I understand your feelings. I can't bear to leave this place either, Yu Yangyu nodded at Night Sorrow. Valley Lord, in terms of the ability to teach disciples, there are many more people in the Medicine Valley who are more outstanding than you. However, the achievements of this disciple are unparalleled in the Medicine Valley. No one can deny this fact, the Grand Elder said with a smile. He had already changed the way he addressed Lu Yangyu and no longer called him by his name. How should I put it? It's mainly because these kids are hardworking. They don't want me to lose face. Rather than saying that I've taken in disciples, it's better to say that I've taken in a group of children. Yu Yangyu looked at his disciples proudly. That makes sense. It's the truth, Great Elder nodded. After staying for a while, Yu Yangyu left. Although the conflict between the Medicine Valley and the Golden Flame sect had been resolved, he had just taken over as the valley head and there were still a lot of things to deal with. Night Sorrow asked Gong Xian if the Spirit Gathering Array would be activated this year and if he could still enter. Looking at Night Sorrow, Gong Xian smiled. It's activated. New disciples and those who haven't entered the core condensation stage can enter the Spirit Gathering Array. After receiving Gong Xian's reply, Night Sorrow was very happy. He had a plan. Night Sorrow, Yang Lei, and always stayed at the Taishan Peak for a while before leaving for Danding City. When they arrived at the gate of Danding City, Night Sorrow and Oi were about to land Tianyu and the Azure Condor. However, Yang Lei stopped them. There's no need to land. Just fly. I've already ordered that the Azure Condors can fly in Danding City. Night Sorrow and Tianyu can also fly. I've also drawn a portrait of them and sent it out. You can do that? Night Sorrow looked at Yang Lei in surprise. I'm the city lord. Whatever I say goes. It's good to have power, Yang Lei said domineeringly. Sixth senior sister, I have some doubts. Is it a mistake for the sect to arrange for ninth senior sister to be the city lord of Danding City? Night Sorrow said with a smile. 13, what do you mean? Are you doubting your ninth senior sister's ability? If anyone dares to cause trouble in Danding City, I'll just kill them. That's my ability, Yang Lei glared at Night Sorrow and said. 13, do you know that in the future, the disciples of Taishan Peak will be highly valued in the Medicine Valley? Not for anything else, but for their domineering aura. It's a kind of spiritual inheritance, Aoi said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow agreed with what Aoi said. A force needed a leader like that. When they arrived at Yang Lei's mansion, it was getting late. Aoi and Night Sorrow stayed at Yang Lei's mansion. Tomorrow was the beginning of the month. Night Sorrow planned to go out early to do missions and earn points as soon as possible. That night, Yishang didn't cultivate. He just lay on the bed and slept. He was a cultivator who had been forced to sleep by Yang Lei. Meditating meant resting, but he still didn't really relax mentally. Aoi and Yang Lei drank tea for a while and decided to rest. Before they went to sleep, they went to Night Sorrow's room. Night Sorrow fell asleep on the bed with his clothes on. He did not even cover himself with the quilt. You really don't know how to take care of yourself. Yang Lei shook her head and gently covered Night Sorrow with the quilt. Okay. After covering Night Sorrow with the quilt, Yang Lei and Aoi went to rest. Night Sorrow woke up early. After greeting Aoi and Yang Lei, Night Sorrow rushed to Tianji Tower. The mayor's mansion was relatively close to Tianji Tower. It was only a few steps away. When Night Sorrow arrived, Tianji Tower was not open yet. Night Sorrow waited at the entrance. While he was waiting, enlightenment arrived with the disciples of Danding Peak. Chapter 167. Oh, enlightenment, you guys are here too. You're all early, Night Sorrow greeted them. We have to be early. Now everyone is fighting for missions because of Martial Uncle. Martial Uncle, leave the normal black iron missions to us. Enlightenment said helplessly. Okay, I'll try my best to take bronze missions. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't have the energy to do too many black iron missions. Tianji Tower hadn't opened yet, but many people had already arrived. Almost all of them were disciples of the Medicine Valley. When they saw Night Sorrow, their eyes turned a little blue. Martial Uncle, you're here. Shi Yunhai also came. Oh, you're here for missions too? Night Sorrow greeted Shi Yunhai. Yes, I was chased out by my uncle to practice combat. I didn't receive any missions a few days ago. I asked around and heard that a new mission will be released at the beginning of the month. Yes, it's easier to take missions at the beginning of the month. Night Sorrow nodded. Just as they were talking, Tianji Tower opened. Enforcer Dong stood in the hall. He knew that Night Sorrow would definitely come at the beginning of the month. Line up according to the rules. Enforcer Dong shouted when he saw so many people. Hearing Enforcer Dong's words, Enlightenment and Shi Yunhai stood behind Night Sorrow. None of the disciples of the Medicine Valley stood in front of Night Sorrow. This was a form of respect. It had nothing to do with the second-generation disciples of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow came to Enforcer Dong and said, I'm here to take a mission. Enforcer Dong smiled and nodded. He handed the bronze and black mission lists to Night Sorrow. At the same time, The receptionist took notes with a pen and paper. They all knew that Night Sorrow was definitely not taking a mission. Night Sorrow took the bronze mission list and started pointing. Then he glanced at the 2 black iron missions. Seeing Enlightenment and Sure Yunhai staring at him, Night Sorrow put down the black iron mission list and continued to take bronze missions. After accepting 7 bronze missions in one go, Night Sorrow was finally done. Be careful when you go out. If you have time, let's drink together. After saying goodbye to Sure Yunhai and Enlightenment, he turned and left. Senior brother, Uncle Master has taken on so many bronze missions. Can he complete all of them with his cultivation base? A disciple of the Medicine Valley behind the Enlightenment sect stuttered. Only #Yijing, edition, asterisk 8 other V, all G, is the pirated edition. Yes, he can complete it. Let's take a look at the Black Iron mission. Enlightenment patted his junior brother's shoulder. This junior brother had returned to his hometown some time ago and didn't know about Night Sorrow's deeds. The Enlightenment didn't mention it either, mainly because they wanted to deal a blow to him. After leaving the Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow got on Tianyu's back and flew directly. This was the benefit of having a senior sister as the city lord. Night Sorrow's name, Tianyu, was noted in Danding City. This was a privilege that even the elders of the Medicine Valley didn't have. Night Sorrow planned to use this time to consolidate his cultivation base. His cultivation base had improved a little recently and was not far from a breakthrough. Night Sorrow's bronze missions were not difficult. Only one of them was more difficult. It was to hunt down a rapist in the early stage of the core condensation realm. Night Sorrow wasn't very worried about the rapist's cultivation base. He knew that the rapist's cultivation base was in the early stage of the core condensation realm. Night Sorrow's original plan was to finish the other missions and go back to do the next one. However, thinking that there would be more victims during this period of time, he went to Tianxiang Town in the Qianshan City area ahead of time. There was another reason for this choice. Night Sorrow was worried that if he stayed too long, the mission information would be inaccurate. One had to know that people were mobile. If he was late, the rapist might change his location. That would be troublesome. Tianxiang Town was a place with beautiful scenery. It was rich in silk, so it was relatively prosperous. Because of the importance of business development, there were relatively few cultivators. This was also the reason why the rapist committed crimes here. Night Sorrow went directly to the mayor's house to understand the situation. Night Sorrow found out that a girl had been defiled the day before yesterday. This rapist came out almost every few days. Moreover, the mayor was very sure that the rapist was in Tianxiang Town. This was because the strong men in the town formed a patrol team and checked people coming in and out. Night Sorrow believed this. Tianxiang Town was a town with only one road in and out. It was surrounded by lakes. It could be said that it was a town on water. Outside the lakes were mulberry fields where people worked. The rapist's cultivation was at the early core condensation realm. It was impossible for him to escape the patrol team's detection and leave the town. Mayor, there aren't many people in the town. Can't we investigate? Night Sorrow asked. Then the mayor's answer made Night Sorrow understand why the rapist was so difficult to catch. It was because this was a trading town. There were many restaurants and inns. It was very difficult to investigate. The mayor's answer made Night Sorrow have some doubts. There are many strangers and merchants coming in and out. How can you be sure that the rapist is still here? We have indeed taken strict precautions. We don't let strangers in or out. Those who let them in are merchants who have dealt with us for a few years. If it was a bad guy, he wouldn't have waited until today to make trouble. The mayor said. Well, that means that the rapist might still be here. Haven't you thought of a way? Night Sorrow asked. We thought about it. We even put a bounty on him. Several people came, but they could only see his shadow. They couldn't catch him at all. They said that he seemed to be wearing a fur coat, but we haven't seen anyone wearing a fur coat in our town. The mayor said, I'll try my best. Night Sorrow nodded to the mayor. It was already late. Night Sorrow went to the tallest watchtower in the town to meditate. At the same time, he also let out Tianyu. After meditating for the whole night, he didn't find anything. However, Night Sorrow wasn't discouraged because the town was safe last night. In other words, the rapist didn't appear. After dawn, Night Sorrow stopped cultivating and went to find the mayor. He planned to see the victims. When he heard that Night Sorrow wanted to see the victims, the mayor's expression changed. He shook his head and said, "It's very tragic. Not only did they lose their virginity, but their bodies were also badly scratched. 2 of them even had their faces disfigured. You can catch them if you can. Don't ask any more." The mayor's tone was a little unlucky. He didn't believe Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was young. Compared to other cultivators, his appearance was much worse. "But I don't see the victims. Then I'll ask if there are any other strange things in the town." Night Sorrow also saw the mayor's impatience. "Well, they just lost some food, some ducks or something." After glancing at Night Sorrow, the mayor directly left. He also invited other cultivators. Seeing the mayor's attitude, Night Sorrow knew that the investigation wouldn't work. The mayor wouldn't cooperate. He was doing a mission. He couldn't use his identity as a disciple of the Medicine Valley to pressure people. In a situation where there was no other way, Night Sorrow could only wait. He suspected that it was done by outsiders or people in the town. After analyzing the mayor's words, he knew that the rapist didn't kill anyone. Chapter 168. Night Sorrow had to figure out a way himself since the mayor was not willing to cooperate with him. He wandered around the streets casually, checking out the situation in the town. Although it was called a town, Sky Fragrance Town was very developed with 2,000 to 3,000 families. There were inns and restaurants on both sides of the street. It was quite prosperous. On the east side of the town, Night Sorrow felt something unusual. At the same time, he saw someone he should not have seen. It was Mrs. Luo from the town where he got the sky-piercing grass. It was Mrs. Luo who got mad when Night Sorrow broke her wall. Mrs. Luo was also surprised to see Night Sorrow. While Night Sorrow was still in shock, Blacksmith also appeared. However, Blacksmith's appearance was very different from before. He was now wearing a loose robe. "Hey, kid, why are you here?" The blacksmith greeted Night Sorrow warmly. "Uncle, why are you here?" Night Sorrow asked. "This is also my home. We just came back yesterday to do some things. What about you? Are you here to catch that flower thief? Come in and have a seat." The blacksmith invited Night Sorrow into the yard. "I'm here for that flower thief. You don't live in that town anymore?" Night Sorrow asked after entering the yard. "We don't live there anymore. The environment here is good, so we moved here," the blacksmith said. Night Sorrow knew that the blacksmith and Mrs. Luo had secrets, but he could not say it out loud. Otherwise, it would be meaningless. He took out the last jar of 100 Herbs wine and said, "Uncle, thank you for giving me the sky-piercing spear. I have nothing to repay you with, so I can only buy you a drink." "I like your temper. Come, let's drink," the blacksmith said with a smile. After drinking the jar of 100 Herbs wine, the uncle's face turned red. This blacksmith uncle loved to drink, but he could not hold his liquor well. "Uncle, take a rest. I still have to look for clues." Night Sorrow stood up and said, "You go to the north. There may be clues there. I was going to take a look. Since you are here, you can handle it." The uncle stood up unsteadily. "I don't have any more of that wine, but I have some other wine here. Leave some for Uncle." Night Sorrow left behind a few jars of wine that he had bought in Danding City, as well as a jar of Uncle Nyo's strong liquor. Only then did he leave. "Second brother, did you see that? That brat's cultivation has risen to a ridiculous level." After Night Sorrow left, the blacksmith uncle rubbed his eyes and said, "Indeed. I've been to many places, but I've never seen a young man like him." Sister Luo nodded and said, "Now that I've met this kid, there's good wine to drink. Not bad." The blacksmith happily looked at the wine jar left behind by Night Sorrow. "Are we really going to let him deal with that scourge? Could he do it? We don't want to hurt their child." Mrs. Luo looked at the blacksmith worriedly. "If he wants to do the mission himself, then he has to face the possibility of what might happen next. If something happens to him, then it's his fate." The blacksmith turned around and went into the yard. He did not continue the topic. Following the blacksmith uncle's guidance, Night Sorrow arrived at the north side of Sky Fragrance Town. The lake here was relatively shallow, and there was a water bamboo forest. Night Sorrow saw scratches on a few of the thicker pillars. Although there were 5 scratches, they did not look like they were made by humans. After looking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that they were left behind by apes. Could it be a perverted ape? Yishang muttered. He was a little shocked. He remembered the mayor's words. All of the victims had been scratched. With the blacksmith uncle's guidance and the traces here, he came to a different conclusion. It was not easy to investigate in the water bamboo forest, so Night Sorrow did not continue to investigate. Instead, he moved some distance away and began to wait. After knowing that the blacksmith and Sister Luo were not ordinary people, Night Sorrow chose to trust them. After finding a suitable place to wait, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and did not move. He knew that both the flower thief and the perverted ape would only take action at night. There were fewer people in the north side of the town, so no one noticed Night Sorrow. He cultivated until nighttime. At night, Night Sorrow took out his reincarnation spear and hid behind a bamboo bridge. He did not know if the situation would happen tonight, but waiting was his only choice. In the middle of the night, with the invasion of the night wind, a situation occurred. The water bamboo forest swayed, and a black shadow scuttled out from the forest and entered the town. Night Sorrow followed closely behind. He was almost certain that the black shadow was the culprit, but he still could not make a move. He had to confirm it first. After entering the town, the black shadow shuttled back and forth in the streets and alleys. Sometimes, it would even run on the roofs at an extremely fast speed. If Night Sorrow did not use the dragon leap steps, he would have lost it. And this was not the full speed of the black shadow. Soon after, the black shadow entered a courtyard and did not come out. Night Sorrow also jumped over the courtyard wall and entered. Ah! At this moment, a scream came from the courtyard. Stop! Night Sorrow's body flashed and broke the window of the room with a kick. At the same time, he shouted loudly. Viong, Z long time free of charge, read 2 novels. After kicking open the window, Night Sorrow saw the situation in the room with the help of the candlelight in the room. Just as he estimated, it was really a white fur perverted ape. At this moment, it was pressing down on a naked woman and was about to rape her. The woman was already unconscious. Seeing Night Sorrow, the white perverted ape pounced towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow brandished the reincarnation spear in his right hand and stabbed towards the white perverted ape. At this moment, there were 2 figures on the bamboo not far away from the courtyard. They were none other than the blacksmith and Sister Luo. The blacksmith and Sister Luo had communicated that the mission was Night Sorrow's responsibility. Whether Night Sorrow succeeded or failed, they would not care. However, if Night Sorrow failed, this flower-plucking scourge would have to be eliminated. Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was powerful and heavy, but the white perverted ape was also very ferocious. Most importantly, it was fast. After dodging Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear, it pounced towards Night Sorrow. This was because Night Sorrow had mastered the chasing wind spear art. Thus, the white perverted ape was not able to get close to him. Hearing the sounds of battle, the owner and servants of the courtyard came out with torches. Back off! All of you back off! Night Sorrow knew that this perverted ape was very ferocious. Even if it did not kill its target woman, it did not mean that it would not kill other people. After shouting, Night Sorrow used the reincarnation spear with one hand. At the same time, he took out a sky-piercing spear. He needed to have equipment for close combat. This white perverted ape was too fast. However, the situation was different from what Night Sorrow had imagined. After seeing other people holding torches, the white perverted ape panicked and jumped to escape. Seeing the white perverted ape running away, how could Night Sorrow let it go? This was his mission. When he jumped up and chased after it, the reincarnation spear shot towards the white perverted ape. Immediately after, he raised his left hand that was filled with the energy of the myriad Tao Tome. Chapter 169. The spear shot out by Night Sorrow's left hand was like a black lightning bolt. It instantly pierced through the air and shot into the back of the white ape. The white ape continued to charge forward. It could be said that the sky-piercing spear was carrying the white ape forward. The power of the spear was exhausted. The white ape continued to run, but it did not have much speed left. Night Sorrow threw out 2 more sky-piercing spears and killed the white ape that did not dare to fight. How is it? The sky-piercing spear has definitely found a suitable owner in his hands. The blacksmith and Sister Luo had already landed from the bamboo, but they did not approach Night Sorrow. Not bad. This guy is ridiculously strong. He killed it with 3 spears. How terrifying. Although Sister Luo was not satisfied with the blacksmith giving the sky-piercing spear to Night Sorrow, she still had to admit that the sky-piercing spear was fully utilized in Night Sorrow's hands. Along with the noise, the family that was attacked by the white ape came. They held torches and surrounded the white ape that was still twitching. Yes, it is the flower thief. It just came out of your house. Night Sorrow withdrew his reincarnation spear and greeted the slightly fat man in a brocade robe. Thank you, sir. I didn't expect it to be a beast. The fat man kicked the white ape twice. Yes. Everyone keep quiet. Otherwise, it will greatly affect the reputation of the other victims. They might not even be able to live. Also, go and find the mayor. Night Sorrow waved his hand and chopped off the white ape's head. Keep your mouths shut. If anyone dares to make a sound, get lost. Now, clean up this place and invite Sir to the house for tea. The middle-aged fat man roared at the servants. Not bad. Blacksmith, you have a good eye this time. This child is ruthless, but he is kind-hearted and knows how to think for others. Sister Luo left after she finished speaking. She and the blacksmith wanted to kill the white ape, but now that Night Sorrow had dealt with it, there was no need for them to interfere. Mrs. Luo was satisfied that Yi Shang's words would have a great impact on the other victims. Indeed, if word got out that he had been defiled by a monkey, the victim would not be able to live anymore. The mayor soon arrived, followed by 2 elders. They were all highly respected elders in the town. After arriving, the mayor first apologized to Night Sorrow because he had looked down on Night Sorrow from the beginning. The 2 respected elders also expressed their gratitude to Night Sorrow. Mayor, I'll have to trouble you to give me proof that the flower thief in Tianxiang town has been eliminated, Night Sorrow said to the mayor. No problem, no problem. Bosqua, please entertain the Lord. I'll go and write the certificate. The mayor said with a smile. Now that the problem was solved, he felt relieved. The owner of this house, Mr. Gua, arranged for people to prepare food and wine. At the same time, the woman who had fainted from fright also came out to express her gratitude. Soon, the mayor came out with the written certificate and handed it to Night Sorrow. This matter is over. You can deal with the aftermath. I hope that the flower thief has been killed. There's no need to spread the news of the perverted ape and embarrass everyone, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's words made the 2 elders who came with the mayor nod with satisfaction. They also thought so. No one would have thought of the origin of this matter. The previous victims did not say that the flower thief was a perverted ape. After all, it was too embarrassing. Night Sorrow cultivated in the room arranged by Bosqua for a night and planned to leave. When he was about to leave, the mayor and the 2 elders came with people and gave Night Sorrow several rolls of top-quality brocade and silk. We don't have anything good to thank the Lord. This is the best brocade in our town. It was woven by the best silkworms here dozens of years ago. It is also the best product in Tianxiang town in the past 100 years. We give it to the Lord as a token of our appreciation. The mayor handed several rolls of brocade and silk to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and accepted it. This is what I should do. It's not right to take your brocade. You can take it. After receiving the silk and brocade, Night Sorrow took out 2 gold notes and handed them to the mayor. He did not have the habit of taking advantage of people. This is not appropriate. We want to thank the Lord. How can we accept the gold notes? The mayor waved his hand and did not accept it. How about this? The victims this time are all very pitiful. Give this money to them. Yi Shan handed the gold notes to the mayor, then cupped his hands and left. Before leaving the town, Night Sorrow went to see the blacksmith and Sister Luo. He had a drink with the blacksmith uncle before leaving Tianxiang town. The following missions were not difficult for Night Sorrow. In less than 10 days, Night Sorrow returned to Danding City. In these 10 days, Night Sorrow had experienced many battles and cultivated his Zhen Qi to the peak of the 5th level of Qi Gathering Realm. His Myriad Dao Tome also reached the peak of the 3rd level of Muscle Strengthening Realm. Enforcer Dong looked at Night Sorrow taking out one mission item after another, and his eyes were full of praise. Even those in the late stage of Qi Gathering Realm and the early stage of Core Formation Realm did not have such speed. After receiving the mission points, Night Sorrow found that he was not far away from getting full points for the bronze token. He estimated that he would be able to do it after one more sweep. However, he did not plan to continue doing missions. There were no good missions in the second half of the month. Besides, he also wanted to break through. After leaving Tianji Tower, Night Sorrow went to Yang Lei's mansion. However, Night Sorrow did not see Yang Lei. He did not know where Qiushue was either. Night Sorrow went to the mayor's mansion and asked. They said that she was patrolling. At this time, Danding City was very lively. This time, the Medicine Valley wanted to recruit disciples. All the cultivation seedlings in the region had come. Some families and small forces wanted their disciples to enter the Medicine Valley. That way, they would have a higher chance of becoming outstanding. Not seeing Yang Lei, Night Sorrow returned to the Longquan courtyard on the Tianyu. After returning to the courtyard, Night Sorrow saw Aoi and Yang Lei drinking tea in the garden. At the same time, they were training Chu Ning and the other 3rd-generation disciples. There were vines beside Yang Lei. 9th senior sister, I went to ask. They said that you were patrolling. Night Sorrow said as he sat down. Yes, as long as I'm not in the mayor's mansion, I'm patrolling and checking on the situation in Danding City. Yang Lei nodded and said with a smile. Not bad. 9th senior sister is good. Night Sorrow gave Yang Lei a thumbs up. Did the mission go well? I poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. It went well. When I have time, I'll finish another mission. Then I should be able to reach silver rank. Night Sorrow nodded. Z update? Hurry up. You're really fast. You made those core condensation cultivators feel bad. As far as I know, you're the 11th senior brother. Yang Lei said with a smile. That's because 11th senior brother doesn't like to do missions. Hai Luo, make some food. I'm starving. Night Sorrow shouted at Hai Luo and Luo Wei. After that, Night Sorrow took out the brocade and silk he got from Tianxiang Town and gave them to Aoi and Yang Lei. However, he kept one for Sikong Chuyu. Chapter 170. Night Sorrow told them about the mission he received from Tianxiang Town, and also told them about the blacksmith who gave him the sky-piercing spear. I told you, that guy isn't an ordinary person. However, he doesn't have any ill intentions towards you, Aoi said. After eating with everyone and playing with the silver fox cub and Tianyu for a while, Night Sorrow went into seclusion. This 13, I really have to hand it to him. He's going crazy, Yang Lei said with a sigh after finding out that Night Sorrow was in seclusion. I remember that he asked eldest senior brother if he would open the spirit gathering formation after taking in new people. I think he's planning to eat the origin increasing pill before entering the spirit gathering formation. Master's requirement is for him to eat one origin increasing pill when he's in the 7th level of element gathering formation. His goal is very likely to be to eat the origin increasing pill, advance to the 8th level of element gathering formation, then enter the spirit gathering formation, Aoi said. If he's really going according to his plan, then he's really going against the natural order. Yang Lei felt that Aoi's words made sense, and felt that Night Sorrow might be planning to do so. In the room, Night Sorrow ate the highest grade origin gathering pill, and his true chi vibrated his dantian, expanding the capacity of his dantian. This was the basic process of advancing. Night Sorrow's dantian had accumulated enough true chi. Previously, he had worked hard to complete missions, and his cultivation was also very solid. As his true chi vibrated, the space in his dantian also became bigger and bigger. Even though there was enough space to condense the 6th energy halo, Night Sorrow did not stop his true chi vibrating. The bigger the space in his dantian, the more true chi it could store. After expanding his dantian to the limit, Night Sorrow began to condense the true Qi halo. With enough true Qi, Night Sorrow did not have to worry about failure when condensing the true Qi halo. After 2 hours, the 6th true Qi halo appeared. He controlled his true Qi and condensed the 6th true Qi halo. After 1 hour, the true Qi halo began to rotate on its own. At the same time, Night Sorrow's Qi became slightly stronger. The automatic rotation of this halo meant that Night Sorrow had entered the 6th level of element gathering tier. After stabilizing his cultivation base until dawn, Night Sorrow came out of his room. 6th level of element gathering tier. To go from the 3rd level of refining tier to the 6th level of element gathering tier in a year's time, this is too inspiring. You will become the idol of the new disciples of the sect. Yang Lei said. It was impossible for Night Sorrow to advance any further before the disciple recruitment ceremony. There were only 10 days left, so Yang Lei said this. A year ago at this time, 13 hadn't started cultivating yet, right? Aoi asked with a smile. They knew a little about Night Sorrow's past. Before Night Sorrow came out of Zhiyuan village, he was just a young hunter in the mountains and did not officially practice martial arts. I've started training. This time last year, I was already on my way from Red Flame City to Danding City. That's right. After stabilizing our cultivation for a few days, we'll return to the Medicine Valley, said Yang Lei. I understand. Actually, the disciple recruitment ceremony has nothing to do with me, said Night Sorrow. Indeed, but since you have contribution points, you can go to Danding Cliff to cultivate. That place tests one's limits and is very beneficial for one's cultivation, said Yang Lei to Night Sorrow. Then I'll go try it out later. Night Sorrow was very interested in this. He knew that he had some sect contribution points. The sect would give some contribution points to the king of the newcomers and the first place of the Yuan ranking. After chatting and drinking tea with Yang Lei and Aoi for a day, Night Sorrow continued to break through at night. He wanted to break through to the 4th level of the tendon strengthening tier of the Myriad Dao Tome and strengthen the dragon tendons on his back. The energy of the Myriad Dao Tome entered the tendons on his back, bringing about bone-piercing pain to Night Sorrow. Beads of sweat rolled down his face. Everyone was born with bones and tendons. Now that he had to forcefully channel energy into them, the pain was unimaginable. Night Sorrow endured the bone-piercing pain and continuously channeled energy into the tendons on his back, strengthening them bit by bit. This process was both painful and long. 2 hours, 4 hours. The intense vibrations of the tendons caused Night Sorrow to feel as if the muscles on his back were about to be torn apart. In the middle of the night, Night Sorrow finally finished strengthening the tendons on his back. Opening his eyes, Night Sorrow touched his back and felt it was sticky. Using the candlelight, Night Sorrow confirmed that it wasn't an illusion. The skin on his back had truly been torn apart and his fingers and palms were covered in blood. Without getting up, Night Sorrow ate a peak-grade energy-gathering pill and cultivated the Sage Cauldron scripture. At the same time, he stabilized his cultivation of the Myriad Dao Tome and healed the injuries on his back. It wasn't until dawn that Night Sorrow got up. He took a robe and went downstairs, intending to take a shower and change. After a night of energy circulation, the wounds on Night Sorrow's back had already healed. When he walked out of the hall, he saw Aoi. "What are you doing? Where did the blood come from?" Seeing the blood stains on Night Sorrow's white robe, Aoi frowned and asked. "It's nothing. It's just a small problem when I was cultivating." Night Sorrow nodded towards Aoi and went to take a shower and change his clothes. When Night Sorrow returned, Aoi and Yang Lei were both sitting in the hall. Both of them had serious expressions on their faces, as if they were about to start a trial. Most see new chapter EB upper X. I was cultivating last night to strengthen the dragon tendons on my back. The flesh on my back was a little torn, but it's fine now. Night Sorrow stretched and said, "Be careful and take care of yourself. It seems like you've improved quite a bit." Yang Lei checked and found that Night Sorrow's blood was vigorous. There was no stagnant blood in his body. "I improved a little last night." Night Sorrow nodded. "Your cultivation intensity is too high. You have to rest today. Let's go fishing." Since you've caught the least amount of fish, we'll eat by ourselves. Yang Lei said. Ninth senior sister, is your cooking edible? Night Sorrow smiled and asked. You bastard! How dare you talk about your ninth senior sister like that? Sixth senior sister, tell me, what do you think of my cooking? After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yang Lei pinched Night Sorrow's waist hard. 13, you can't doubt this point. Your ninth senior sister doesn't easily cook, but the food she cooks is really delicious. In the future, whoever marries her will definitely be blessed. Qing Ji said with a smile. I really didn't expect that. Night Sorrow rubbed his waist and said, It's a pity that your ninth senior sister isn't interested in our Tai Xian Peak's disciples. The disciples of the other peaks all take a detour when they see your ninth senior sister. There's no chance at all. Qing Ji said with a smile. You will. Sixth senior sister and ninth senior sister will find someone who loves you. Night Sorrow said with a smile. After playing for a day, Yi Shang went to cultivate. The result of the fishing competition was Yang Lei's loss. Her patience was not as good as Qing Ji's and Yi Shang's. After stabilizing his cultivation for 2 days, he followed Yang Lei and Oi back to Medicine Valley. With Yang Lei's company, Night Sorrow went to Danding Cliff. There were 2 days before the apprenticeship ceremony. Night Sorrow wanted to try it out first. Chapter 171. Yi Shang saw the elder guarding this place in front of a bamboo building at the foot of Pill Tripod Cliff. Elder, I'm going to cultivate on Danding Cliff. Night Sorrow bowed to the elder whom he had never met before. I'll check your name and level. The elder looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow told the elder his name and the mountain he belonged to. Then the elder told him how many merit points Night Sorrow had. Night Sorrow had 300 merit points. Climbing Danding Cliff would cost him 30 merit points. Cultivating for a day would also cost him 30 merit points. Night Sorrow didn't ask how he got his merit points. He nodded to Yang Lei and said, Senior sister, you can go back first. I want to try my luck here. Yang Lei nodded and said, Okay. The disciple recruitment ceremony is coming soon. No one will cultivate here and no one will disturb you. Night Sorrow started climbing Danding Cliff as soon as he reached the top. Ninth brother, the sect has informed us of your situation. Very good. The future of Medicine Valley depends on young people like you. Whose disciple is he from Taishan Peak? Why is he a heaven-level disciple? The elder with the aura of sunset asked. Elder Su, he is my master's 13th disciple. He came here last year to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. Yang Lei knew that Elder Su was old and had reached the end of his life. Yang Lei told Elder Su about Night Sorrow's situation. I remember now. He is the little guy who was at the 3rd level of Qi refining last year. He made it to the end by sheer willpower. 1 year, only 1 year, and he has reached this level. I really can't connect the dots. Why is he a heaven-level disciple? Elder Su was still puzzled, but he knew that the sect wouldn't mess around. There must be a reason why Night Sorrow was treated like a heaven-level disciple. Well, to be honest with you, Elder, 13 found the lost sacred cauldron scripture in the Medicine Valley. Yang Lei didn't hide anything from this elder. He was already in his twilight years, yet he was still contributing his last bit of strength. This was worthy of respect. So that's how it is. No wonder the Tianding scripture that the sect gave me is different from before. If he really makes a breakthrough, he will be my benefactor. Elder Su looked at Night Sorrow, who had already begun to climb up Danding Cliff. Elder Su, don't say that. Everyone knows how much you've done for the sect. You don't owe anyone anything, Yang Lei said. After chatting with Elder Su for a while, Yang Lei left. She knew that Night Sorrow wouldn't come down for a while. Night Sorrow wouldn't let 30 merit points go to waste. In the main hall of Taishan Peak, Yu Yangyu sat in the main seat. The other higher-ups of Taishan Peak were also present. Gong Xian, the recruitment of disciples at Taishan Peak this time depends on you. I understand, Gong Xian said. Ninth brother, 13 went to Danding Cliff and stayed there? Yu Yangyu asked. He had just asked and found out that Yang Lei and Night Sorrow had gone to Danding Cliff. Yes, it will probably take some time. Yang Lei nodded. Ninth junior sister, Master will take over as Valley Lord tomorrow. Why are you letting 13 stay at Danding Cliff at this time? Gong Xian was a little anxious. It's fine. I've already told the Great Elder and the others that the ceremony can be held at Danding Main Hall. There's no need to be too extravagant. There's no need to be too ostentatious during this critical period. 13 can cultivate at Danding Cliff. I'm happy that all of you are successful, Yu Yangyu said with a smile. Yang Lei lowered her head and didn't say anything. She felt a little guilty. Night Sorrow didn't know about this, but she did. She originally planned to bring Night Sorrow to Danding Cliff to take a look, but she forgot about it when Night Sorrow stepped off the cliff. Ninth brother, you know me. I don't care about formalities. I'm happy that 13 took first place on the Yuan ranking. I'm happy that 11 took first place on the Elixir ranking. What's the use of just congratulating me? Yu Yangyu looked at Yang Lei and said. He could see that Yang Lei was in low spirits. Yang Lei nodded and didn't say anything. Night Sorrow didn't use his cultivation. He used his own ability to climb and directly reach 2,500 meters without any pressure. The scene that made him bleed last year didn't happen. Feeling okay, Night Sorrow continued climbing. When he reached 2,900 meters, Night Sorrow felt a little pressure. The first 100 meters were a natural moat for him last year, but it was nothing now. He used both his hands and feet to reach 3,000 meters. At this moment, Night Sorrow didn't use his true chi or the power of the myriad Dao Tome. His body's strength was comparable to a level 9 chi refining cultivator. Elder Su, who was watching from below, was very surprised. He obviously saw that Night Sorrow didn't use his true chi. Above 3,000 meters was a forbidden area for chi refining disciples. Even if they had the ability to continue climbing, they could only reach a height of 3,300 meters. This was the record for chi refining disciples in the Medicine Valley. Yishang took out a wine jug and drank a mouthful of wine. He continued to climb up the stairs, one by one, until he reached the bottom of the stairs. 3,300 meters, 3,400 meters, 3,600 meters. At 3,600 meters, Night Sorrow started to feel the pressure. If he didn't use his true chi or the myriad Dao scripture's energy, it would be very difficult for him to continue climbing. The pressure from Danding Cliff continued to attack him like waves, trying to push him back. Night Sorrow poured his true chi into his arms and continued climbing. Although it was difficult, it wasn't a problem for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow lowered his head and rushed up, just like how it was the first time he climbed Danding Cliff. When more than half of his true chi was consumed, Night Sorrow also rushed to the 4,000-meter platform. There was no pressure here, so Night Sorrow meditated to recover. After half an hour, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak and continued to climb up. This time, the pressure was greater. Night Sorrow felt a strong pressure when he reached 4,200 meters. Night Sorrow poured his true chi into his body. He roared and rushed up. He wanted to see how far he could go. When there was only a third of his Zhen Qi left, Night Sorrow had rushed past 4,300 meters. At this time, he decisively used the myriad Tao Tome's energy. This was because he knew that if he didn't use the myriad Tao Tome's energy, he would only be able to climb to 4,350 meters at most. After unleashing the power of the myriad Dao's tome, Night Sorrow's climbing speed increased once again. One step after another appeared behind him. He's only in the 6th level of element gathering tier, but his blood and chi are boiling. Could it be that he can really break through the shackles of 4,500 meters? Elder Su muttered to himself as he watched from the other side of the mountain peak. L update equals fastest 3, top W, G Danding Cliff was a cliff that seemed to have been cut by a knife. Less than 1,000 meters away, there was a mountain peak. This mountain peak was not pressurizing, but had beautiful scenery. Chapter 172. When he reached the platform of 4,500 meters, Night Sorrow climbed up with difficulty and laid down on the platform to rest. It was difficult for him to even straighten his body. After resting for a while on the platform, Night Sorrow forced himself to sit up. After taking a medicinal pill, he sat down cross-legged to recover. It was easy to imagine how difficult it was to recover while withstanding the huge pressure. This time, Night Sorrow took 4 hours. Standing up, Night Sorrow continued to climb upwards. Even though he had recovered to his peak state, Night Sorrow's climbing speed was not as fast as before. Climbing each step required a huge amount of energy. It was like a person who could run 10,000 meters, but the last 9,000 meters to 10,000 meters was also painful, because that was his limit. By the time all the energy in his body was exhausted, Night Sorrow had reached the bottom of the 4,600-meter staircase. Just like last time, Night Sorrow climbed up and laid down on the platform. Withstanding the pressure from the peak, Night Sorrow lay down on the platform and panted heavily. Anyway, he would not fall down if he lay down on the platform. After resting for a while and regaining some energy, Night Sorrow sat down cross-legged and took a medicinal pill to recover. At this time, Elder Su was extremely shocked. He really wanted to go and report to the sect right now. Ever since the establishment of the Medicine Valley, there had never been a disciple of the Essence Gathering stage who had been able to surpass this height of 4,500 meters. The best disciple had only touched the 4,500 meters of stairs with his hands, but had not been able to climb it. However, Night Sorrow, who was in the Element Gathering tier, had already reached 4,600 meters. After reaching 4,600 meters, Night Sorrow did not continue climbing, but began to cultivate on the platform. Because the sky had already darkened. Elder Su was a little conflicted. He wanted to report to the sect, but he was also worried that Night Sorrow would continue climbing recklessly. If he fell and no one caught him, he would be dead for sure. When the disciple who delivered the supplies arrived, Elder Su let out a sigh of relief. He hurriedly sent the disciple to the sect to inform the other elders to come. Sitting on the steps, Night Sorrow realized a great advantage. The speed of refining the medicine was extremely fast. Under the pressure from Danding Cliff, the energy in his body naturally resisted, increasing his refining ability. Moreover, the refined energy was also very condensed. A supreme-grade quintessence gathering pill and a leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill took him 4 hours to completely refine them. In the past, Night Sorrow would need an entire night to refine them. Under normal circumstances, Night Sorrow should have recovered to his peak condition after refining a supreme-grade energy-gathering pill and a leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill. However, that was not the case now. After resisting the pressure from Danding Cliff, Night Sorrow had only recovered half of his strength. 0ch Original Chapter K, Section N7. When he planned to continue eating pills to refine them, Night Sorrow realized that his body was absorbing the heaven and earth spirit chi very fast. It was not much faster than using pills. When Yi Shang had used the medicinal pills to recover, he had been fully focused on refining the medicinal energy, so he hadn't noticed it. Now that he had noticed it, he didn't use the medicinal pills. After using 2 hours to recover to his peak condition, Night Sorrow stood up against the pressure. He stretched out his arms and resisted the pressure from the top of the cliff. When he was in high spirits, Night Sorrow punched the top of Danding Cliff, consuming his true chi. Night Sorrow did not know that there were several people watching from the opposite peak. There were the Great Elder, Second Elder, Fourth Elder, Yu Yangyu, Su Chunbai, and the former Valley Master and current Grand Elder Hua Yunpeng. If he doesn't go crazy, he won't live. Valley Master, you've taken in a little madman, said Second Elder Qianwu. What is he trying to do? Lu Chenyun did not understand. He does not want to continue climbing, and he wants to continue training. In order to find the feeling, he will consume his true chi, Hua Yunpeng said. After a few dozen punches, Night Sorrow felt that his true chi was being consumed too slowly. He opened his arms, and a cyclone appeared in his hands. One hand was true chi, and the other was the myriad Tao Tome. Using the Zhenyu hand, Night Sorrow slammed his hands against the wall of Danding Cliff. Bang, bang. A series of muffled sounds came out, but the wall did not suffer much damage. Only some dust was sent flying. After being eroded by energy for so many years, The rock of Danding Cliff was very hard. After sending out 2 palm strikes, Yishang continued to send out palm strikes. After sending out 4 palm strikes, Yishang could no longer use his Zhen Qi to send out the Zhenyu hand. His Zhen Qi could only support 2 palm strikes. Since he could not use his true Qi, Night Sorrow used the myriad Tao Tome's energy for 2 more palm strikes. After exhausting all the energy in his body, he sat down and continued to train. Valley Master, if I'm not wrong, he used 6 Zhenyu hand. Hua Yunpeng looked at Yu Yangyu and said, "It's the Zhenyu hand. When I was at rank 3, I started to train it. I could only use 1 palm strike at the beginner level, and 2 at the peak of rank 3. Yu Yangyu nodded. He did not refer to himself as I, because there were no outsiders here. He did not need to act like a Valley Master. This little guy has no intention of coming down. Then let him train here. 4th Elder, you and Elder Su stay here and watch." The Great Elder said. Back at Danding Peak, the Great Elder casually arranged something for Su Chenbai and sent him away. "We need to focus on Night Sorrow's cultivation. Most importantly, we need to hide him. I am worried that someone will spread the news of him to the Golden Fire sect. Then, it will be easy to kill a genius." The Great Elder looked at Yu Yangyu and said, "I will go and kill that traitor." 2nd Elder Qianwu stood up and said, "No need. I have been in seclusion for many years. My cultivation is high enough, but my state of mind is not. Therefore I cannot break through. I will watch over this kid for a while." Hua Yunpeng said, "Martial uncle, is this appropriate?" Yu Yangyu looked at Hua Yunpeng and asked. Yu Yangyu was 1 generation younger than Hua Yunpeng, so he called Hua Yunpeng martial uncle. There is nothing inappropriate about it. This guy does whatever he wants. I like it. Hua Yunpeng nodded. Night Sorrow was in high spirits that night. After he had recovered, he went to work on his true Qi and the myriad Tao Tome's energy. Then he sat down to cultivate. He was extremely excited. The speed of cultivation was too fast, and the results were very obvious. When it was almost dawn, Night Sorrow started to recover fully. He planned to continue his cultivation when the sun rose. This made Elder Su, who was watching, confused. 4th Elder, why is he not working on his cultivation? I think he is planning to recover to his peak state and continue his cultivation. We all know that the Valley Master was ruthless when he was young. I didn't expect him to be the same when he took in a disciple. That's not right. He is not ruthless. He is crazy. Lu Chenyun muttered. Lu Chenyun was originally unhappy that his disciple Ao Yushan was suppressed by Taishan Peak. But after Yu Yangyu took over as the Valley Master, his dissatisfaction disappeared. Overbearing? That was because he had the right to be overbearing. Moreover, Ao Yushan was in the wrong. Chapter 173. Today is the Valley Master's inauguration ceremony. Are we not going? Elder Su asked Lu Chenyun. The Valley Master wants us to just go through the formalities. He doesn't want it to be too grand. Let's just watch this kid. If anything happens to him, the 2 of us will be too ashamed to continue living, Lu Chenyun said, shaking her head. Night Sorrow's performance made them realize what it meant to the Medicine Valley. It meant that as long as Night Sorrow continued to grow, his achievements would be limitless. Night Sorrow, who had recovered to his peak state, continued climbing, just as Lu Chenyun thought. Night Sorrow felt that he could still progress. He wanted to climb to his limit to cultivate. Such a place would have a stronger cultivation effect. When they first came, Yang Lei had told Yishang that this was the best place to temper one's cultivation. She and the other senior and junior brothers would sometimes come here as well. Later on, their state of mind couldn't keep up, so they didn't come here to cultivate. Another reason was that sect merit points were too difficult to obtain. It was very difficult to obtain merit points if one wasn't a disciple on the Yuan roll. Night Sorrow's 300 merit points were the reward for being the new Vanguard King and first on the Yuan roll. Both rewards were only 300 points. One could imagine how difficult it would be for other disciples. Resisting the pressure, Yishang continued to climb. Every time he climbed a step, Yishang had to use all his strength. Luckily, Today is the Valley Master's inauguration ceremony. Many disciples are at Danding Peak. Otherwise, it would definitely cause a commotion, Lu Chenyun muttered. How far do you think he can climb, Fourth Elder? Elder Su asked, looking at Night Sorrow's figure on Danding Cliff. To surpass one's limits, every meter requires a huge amount of energy. He can reach 4,700 meters. As for 4,800 meters, that's impossible. After all, his cultivation is still too low, Lu Chenyun analyzed after looking at Night Sorrow's situation. Night Sorrow was indeed having a hard time. The pressure and energy from the top of Danding Cliff were getting stronger and stronger. Night Sorrow remembered that in the past, there was only a small amount of pressure and energy. Now, climbing was even harder than when he was training with Yang Lei. The energy was constantly washing over him. Night Sorrow was still a dozen meters away from the 4,700-meter staircase when his Zhen Qi was depleted. Relying on the remaining energy from the myriad Tao Tome and the strength of his body, as well as his indomitable will, Night Sorrow climbed to the 4,700-meter staircase. Lying on the steps, Night Sorrow could not even wipe away his sweat. It was no different from being pressed down by a mountain. Night Sorrow seemed to be stuck to the platform, lying on his stomach to recover his strength. Only when he recovered his strength could he sit up to meditate and recover. After resting for 15 minutes, Night Sorrow supported himself with both hands on the platform to sit up. Then, withstanding the pressure from Danding Peak, he began to recover and cultivate. This fella is making me so nervous. My heart is clenching. Elder Su sighed. Lu Chenyun smiled and did not say anything. He was the same. After 4 hours, Yishan had recovered to his peak state. Only then did he take out a jar of wine and gulp down 2 mouthfuls. To climb or not to climb? This was something that Night Sorrow was rather conflicted about. The cultivation speed here was very fast, but it would be even faster up there. However, the difficulty of climbing up was too great. Right now, he wasn't competing with anyone, so it didn't matter who was better or worse. If he did not want to compete with others, should he compete with himself? After thinking for a while, Yishang gulped down a few mouthfuls of wine. He put away the wine jug and continued to climb. This was a challenge to himself. From 4,700 meters to 4,800 meters, the difficulty was higher than the previous ones. Night Sorrow lowered his head and channeled the energy from the myriad Tao Tome into his arms. He began to climb. By the time he reached 4,760 meters, Night Sorrow had almost used up all of his energy. All the energy in his body and the myriad Tao Tome exploded. Night Sorrow let out a low growl and charged upwards. After pausing for a while, he let out another growl and continued to charge upwards. As he got closer to the 4,800-meter platform, Night Sorrow's condition also deteriorated rapidly. There were only a dozen meters left, but these dozen meters were like a natural chasm. 13. Come on, you can do it. On the peak opposite Danding Cliff, Yang Lei shouted at Night Sorrow. There were others in front and behind her. After the inauguration ceremony, Yang, the first elder, the second elder, and even Hua Yunpeng arrived. There were also the disciples of Taishin Peak. Following Yang Lei's shout, the disciples of Taishin Peak also began to shout. Yishang, who had already lost all his strength, took a deep breath and started climbing again. He had to reach the 4,800-meter mark. Master, why don't you let 13 come down? Oi's eyes were a little red. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who was almost hanging on Danding Cliff, looked so small and pitiful. Gong Xian and the others did not say anything. They had all climbed Danding Cliff and cultivated there. Many disciples of Medicine Valley in the core condensation stage could not reach the 4,800-meter platform. According to the normal calculation of climbing, the peak of the energy gathering stage was 3,000 meters to 4,000 meters, while the peak of the core condensation stage was 4,000 meters to 5,000 meters. There was a history in the Medicine Valley of energy gathering stage climbing 4,500 meters, but that was a very long record. It was set by all the disciples in the peak of the energy gathering stage in the past thousands of years. Currently, 4,200 meters was the limit of the disciples in the Medicine Valley. It's not bad for him, Yu Yangyu said in a low voice. He was also very distressed. Sixth junior sister, let's cheer for 13 together, Gong Xian said to Aoi. Then, under the leadership of Gong Xian, the disciples of Taishan Peak began to shout at Danding Cliff. Night Sorrow, who originally could not hold on, felt the blood in his body boil. He let out a tragic roar and climbed up again. 5 meters, 4 meters, 3 meters. 4,800 meters of stairs was in front of Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow lowered his head and scratched his numb arms with his teeth to keep himself conscious. Then, little by little, he climbed to the 4,800 meters of stairs. The only authentic version of the game, 9%, 8%, 8%, 8%? It was a pirated version. Night Sorrow, who was lying on the stairs, did not have any strength left. Night Sorrow, who was worried that he would fall, raised his arm and slapped a sharp rock inside the stairs. With this slap, a cut appeared on Yi Shang's palm. He was worried that if Yi Shang relaxed, he would fall into a coma, so he used the pain to stimulate Yi Shang. Night Sorrow, who was lying on the stairs, was like a dead man, recovering his energy and true chi little by little. Half an hour later, Yi Shang propped himself up on the steps with his bloodied hands and began to cultivate. Fighting with himself, fighting with his predecessors, and fighting with the heavens. What an imposing manner! What courage! Hua Yunpeng commented. Valley Master, Grand Elder, Great Elder, tomorrow is the apprenticeship ceremony. Should we ask him to come down? Elder Su asked. Why should we ask him to come down? Many people will come to the apprenticeship ceremony. Let's let the disciples of Medicine Valley see how Night Sorrow cultivates. This is a place that all disciples of Medicine Valley must learn, Great Elder said, leaving no room for negotiation. That's good. He has 300 merit points, which should be enough for a few days, Elder Su said with a nod. Chapter 174. The disciple who broke the record has the right to cultivate at Danding Cliff without using any merit points. I'm so old and muddle-headed. Elder Su slapped his forehead and said, Elder Su, you've worked hard for the Medicine Valley for your whole life. You should have some free time in the future and try to find a breakthrough. The Medicine Valley doesn't want to lose an elder who's devoted to the sect. Yu Yangyu looked at Elder Su with eyes full of respect. Yes, after this year's disciple recruitment ceremony, Elder Su should take a rest. The Great Elder also nodded. Everyone chatted while watching Night Sorrow recover on the platform. Night Sorrow realized that it was almost impossible to recover to the peak here. Because while recovering, he had to contend with the energy from Danding Peak, which was constantly consuming. However, this kind of cultivation allowed him to improve very quickly. What was consumed could be recovered, but the amount of true qi in his dantian and the energy in his body was constantly increasing. In other words, once he stopped consuming and recovered to the peak state, the improvement in his cultivation would be obvious. This effect was also very obvious in refining the concentration of true qi. Under such high pressure, not only would the true qi be refined, but it would also refine the true qi that he had cultivated in the past. It was the same for the strengthening of his body. The energy in his body was constantly increasing, and it would also refine the energy in his body. After recovering to 90% of his peak state, Night Sorrow stood up and stretched out his arms to welcome the pressure. At the same time, he looked down at Danding Cliff. When he found that no one was cultivating, he let out a sigh of relief. It feels good to stand at a high place and look at the scenery. Damn, he climbed so high just to look at the scenery? Chuning couldn't help but complain. Heartless. Yang Lei rubbed her forehead. She was also speechless at Night Sorrow's words. He has a good attitude. He doesn't care about fame or fortune. He just climbed for the sake of climbing. He has grasped the concept of Wei Peak. Hua Yunpeng said with a smile. After feeling the impact for a while, Night Sorrow looked at the platform. He felt that the platform had a circumference of 1 zhang, which was quite big. He took out his reincarnation spear and practiced his spear art on the platform. I can't watch this anymore. I'm going back to cultivate. Sherdunlin was somewhat agitated. Valley Master, all of you should go back. I'll stay here and watch over this kid. Hua Yunpeng said to Yu Yangyu and the others. After that, he disappeared from Night Sorrow's sight and landed on the platform 5,000 meters above Danding Cliff. That works too? Tang Tian's eyes widened. To have a great clan elder looking after him, what kind of treatment was that? Why not? You guys are doomed. You guys are getting further and further away from your 13th uncle, Gong Xian said with a sigh. Tang Tian and Chu Ning were somewhat helpless. Night Sorrow's speed was too ridiculous. They were indeed somewhat unable to catch up. They were no longer on the same level. Under the pressure, Night Sorrow executed his chasing wind spear art, perfecting the flaws in his spear art. After he finished practicing his spear art, Night Sorrow executed the Zhenyu hand, exhausting the energy in his body, and then meditated to cultivate. Alright, everyone go back. Tomorrow is the disciple recruitment ceremony. Go do what you need to do. Yu Yangyu and the great clan elder stood up and left. Let's go too. 13th uncle is having too much fun. Who knows how long he'll stay up there for. Yang Lei understood Night Sorrow well. She knew that when Night Sorrow was cultivating, he was extremely stubborn and crazy. In a pavilion not far behind Danding Peak's main hall, Su Chenbai's face was cold. Su Mu, who was standing not far from him, was punching and releasing repeatedly. Su Chenbai did not bring any other disciple from 9 Yin Peak to Danding Peak. He only brought Su Mu to Danding Peak. The reason was that Su Mu had only been in the sect for a short time and needed to be taken care of. Master, I want to go to Danding Cliff another day. If he can reach 4,800 meters, then I want to give it a try. Su Mu's eyes were filled with ferocity. No need. In 2 days, I'll send you away to a better place, Su Chenbai said after thinking for a while. Then I'll listen to Master. I don't believe that I can't kill him. Su Mu's words were filled with killing intent. During this period of time, his cultivation had increased rapidly. He was already at the peak of the 8th level of element gathering tier. We'll talk about this later. Don't go to Danding Cliff. Su Chenbai directly interrupted Su Mu. The Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony was held as scheduled. This time, there were many people who came to participate. There were thousands of people, which was several times more than last year. The main reason was that the Medicine Valley announced that it would relax the entry requirements. Since there were many people who came to participate in the apprenticeship ceremony, there were also many people who came to watch the ceremony. They all hoped that their own members could enter the Medicine Valley. Some time ago, the Medicine Valley forcefully expelled the Golden Flame sect's influence, which made the Medicine Valley's reputation reach an unprecedented height. This time, the host was Yen Beibei. However, all the peak masters also came. The Medicine Valley's development path had changed. It wanted to rise at full speed, so all the peaks had to recruit new people. However, this time, the newcomers were mainly from Taishan Peak, North Peak, and Crepe Myrtle. The number of disciples in these 3 peaks was less. This was known by all in the Medicine Valley. The apprenticeship ceremony was still the same, but the entry requirements were lowered. The minimum entry requirement to enter the sect was back to the original level of Qi refining. The distance of the Golden Test Pillar was also shortened. In addition, the number of laps around Bluestone Peak was also reduced to 14 laps. The climb of Danding Cliff was set at 2,500 meters. As long as one could pass all the tests, he or she could enter the Medicine Valley. This was good news for all the teenagers who came to participate in the apprenticeship ceremony. The chances of entering the Medicine Valley had increased a lot. There were some mistakes in last year's decision. The first elder, who was sitting beside Yu Yangyu, knocked on the ground with his walking stick and said, "The situation is different. At that time, we should have kept a low profile. Now, there's no difference between keeping a low profile and keeping a high profile." Yu Yangyu said, "Last year, the Medicine Valley didn't have any conflict with the Golden Flame sect. Therefore, keeping a low profile could reduce the hostility of the Golden Flame sect. Now that hostility had arisen and a conflict had broken out, There was no difference between keeping a low profile and keeping a high profile. Whether the entry requirements are lowered or not, the Valley Master has gained a lot. This last disciple is really domineering. Yi Xiling, the peak master of Crepe Myrtle, said with a smile. It's not that the disciple is good. It's Night Sorrow's own hard work. Yuan Tai, the peak master of Wangyun Peak, said. P Soul E positive, T version, U. The others are all ex-robbers, T version. L. After the conflict between the Medicine Valley and the Golden Flame sect, the unity of the Medicine Valley had increased a lot. For example, Yuan Tai and Jean Can, who didn't get along well with Yang Yu, had expressed their goodwill. But sometimes they still had to say a few words. Of course, it was harmless. Indeed. 13 has done well. Yang Yu nodded. Chapter 175. You will be shocked tomorrow, the Great Elder said with a smile. He didn't come last year. Otherwise, who knows which peak Night Sorrow is from? Yi Xiling glanced at Yang Yu and said, Ahem. He went to Taishin Peak with the Valley Master, but he went to Crepe Myrtle. Who knows what he looks like now? Duan Lei coughed and said. Duan Lei, what do you mean? Are you looking down on Crepe Myrtle? Yi Xiling slapped the armrest of the chair and glared at Duan Lei. All right, Xiling, why are you still so grumpy? The Great Elder said. Of course, Yi Xiling and Duan Lei were just bickering. Yi Xiling glared at Duan Lei and didn't say anything. She could throw a tantrum at Duan Lei, but she had to respect the Great Elder. While they were talking, the exam was still going on. Soon, the first 2 rounds were over, and the third round was about to begin. Yen Beibei stood up and announced a new rule. Those who affected others would be eliminated. Because of the precedent of Qin Hai attacking Night Sorrow last year, he didn't want it to happen again. After this round, a portion of people were eliminated. There were still about 2,000 people left. Today's exam was over. The Medicine Valley sent a high-level law enforcement team to patrol the Grass Valley. The team was led by a group of 4th-rank cultivators. They were much stronger than last year. They were mainly worried that the Golden Flame sect would come and cause trouble. Newcomers were the future of a sect. No matter which sect they were in, they would be valued. Night Sorrow was still cultivating. Fortunately, he had wine, meat jerky, and fasting pills in his storage ring. It wasn't a problem for him to stay here for a while. During this time, many disciples of the Yuan Gathering realm came. There were even some in the core condensation realm. They all knew that the Yuan Gathering realm record was broken at Danding Cliff. However, they were immediately warned by elders soon not to make any noise. Now that his cultivation had recovered, Night Sorrow stood up to practice his spear arts and suppressing mountain hands. Now that his Zhen Qi and myriad Tao Tome's energy had been depleted, he continued to meditate and recover. Time meant nothing to him. 5,000 meters above Night Sorrow's head, Hua Yunpeng was quietly meditating. He was well aware of Night Sorrow's situation. He always felt that Night Sorrow was more like a disciple of Wei Peak. He had no distractions. Climbing the Danding Cliff was just climbing the Danding Cliff. He was just looking at the scenery. Records were not important. Now, he was cultivating. There was nothing else. When night fell, Night Sorrow became well-behaved. He didn't want to accidentally fall because he was practicing his spear arts. If that happened, he would lose his life. He didn't know that he was being protected. Shangalit was very rare to increase one's cultivation without any drawbacks. The speed was comparable to the Spirit Gathering Array. Moreover, there were no drawbacks. There were drawbacks to cultivating in the Spirit Gathering Array. Although the cultivation speed was fast, there would be a lack of energy and an unstable foundation. This definitely wouldn't happen at Danding Cliff. He couldn't understand why the Medicine Valley set such a high merit point limit. If the limit was lower, wouldn't the disciples of the sect be able to cultivate quickly without any drawbacks? Although he couldn't figure out these problems, Night Sorrow felt that it was more important to turn the benefits into actual strength. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, Hua Yunpeng was still drinking on the 5 kilometers platform. He was still thinking about Night Sorrow's words. Simple and direct. Everything could be solved easily. If you didn't succeed, it meant that you didn't put in enough effort. His words were simple and crude. If he couldn't break through, could he do the same? While Hua Yunpeng was thinking, time passed slowly. He knew that the place he was sitting now would soon be overtaken by the kid below, and even higher. At dawn, under the lead of the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley, thousands of people arrived at Danding Cliff. The members who were going to participate in the assessment stood at the foot of Danding Cliff. Some of the original members of the Medicine Valley went to the mountain peak opposite Danding Cliff because they could see more clearly from there. Many people wanted to see a figure on Danding Cliff. At this moment, Night Sorrow was cultivating the wind-chasing spear art. Under the pressure from Danding Cliff, it was easier to find flaws and drawbacks in the cultivation of the spear art. Only by finding the flaws could he perfect it. Chapter 176. Reaching a height of 4,800 meters at the 6th level of element gathering tier, that's really unbelievable. Yi Xiling praised. Although she was a little depressed because she was not a member of Crepe Myrtle, she still had to acknowledge his excellence. Why didn't he continue? Go a little higher. Yang Lei said anxiously. She was looking forward to seeing Night Sorrow leave a better record for the future generations of Medicine Valley. At the same time, it would be a monument that would be passed down. Going too far is as bad as falling short. That place is suitable for him to cultivate. It's quite good, Yu Yangyu said with a smile. He was really happy that Night Sorrow could reach a height of 4,800 meters and still know when to stop and cultivate diligently. Master, we'll go and try later, Chu Ning, who was standing beside Gong Xian, said. No, don't come here to cultivate if you're not in the later stage of element gathering tier. Merit points are hard to come by. You have to cherish every opportunity to cultivate at Danding Cliff, Gong Xian rejected directly. Master, merit points are too hard to earn. A sect mission only costs 2 to 3 points. Why is the price so high? Tang Tian could not help but ask. Because we can't damage the energy circulation of Danding Cliff. Don't ask any more. Gong Xian turned around and glared at Tang Tian. There were many seniors in the sect. How could a junior disciple keep talking? They would be criticized for being unruly. It's nothing. Gong Xian, tell them about the situation at Danding Cliff in detail. There's a reason why the sect sets such a rule, the great elder said. Indeed, many disciples of Medicine Valley had the same question. Other than the senior disciples, ordinary people really did not know. Then, Gong Xian's explanation made everyone understand. The energy of Danding Cliff came from the 8-dragon cauldron, which was the spiritual weapon of the sect. The energy was absorbed by Danding Cliff and returned to the 8-dragon cauldron. If the energy was absorbed by the cultivator, it would disappear. If too much energy disappeared, it would affect the 8-dragon cauldron. The Medicine Valley wouldn't take this risk. If the 8-dragon cauldron was affected, the Medicine Cauldron spiritual liquid would be gone. After Gong Xian's explanation, everyone finally understood why the Medicine Valley was so strict with their disciples coming to Danding Cliff to cultivate. It was because there were too many implications. While Gong Xian was explaining to everyone, Night Sorrow continued to meditate and cultivate. The examiners below also began to rush up. This was an opportunity for a carp to leap over the dragon's gate. Entering the Medicine Valley and not entering the Medicine Valley in the future would be completely different in terms of difficulty and achievement. These youths were all of high quality. They only felt the difficulty when they reached 1,800 meters. Hey, have you heard? Last year, there was a guy at the 3rd level of Qi refining who managed to reach 3,000 meters. How did he manage to reach that height? I'm already at the 6th level of Qi refining and I can't stand it anymore, a youth asked the person beside him. Of course I know. In order to prepare for this year's examination, I came to watch the ceremony last year. That person is called Night Sorrow. He is indeed at the 3rd level of Qi refining. He was one of the 26 people who entered the Medicine Valley last year. In the competition for the newcomers, he won the title of Newcomer's King, a girl in gorgeous tights said. That's amazing. You should know that most of the examiners are at the 7th or 8th level of Qi refining. He was only at the 3rd level of Qi refining for a year and he won the title of Newcomer's King. That's unbelievable, a youth standing on top of several people said. You know too little. I know his achievements. Not only is he the Newcomer's King, he is also the top of the Medicine Valley's Yuan Gathering leaderboard. In other words, he is the most amazing person under the 3rd level of Medicine Valley. Do you understand? This time, I'm going to join the Taishin Peak. Remember me, my name is He Miao, a girl in silk tights said. I'm also here for the Taishin Peak. The disciples of the Taishin Peak are very domineering. They are famous even in my hometown, a dignified youth who climbed up behind her said. Since all of you are going to join the Taishin Peak, then I'll go too. Maybe I can become the junior brother of the top of the Yuan Gathering leaderboard. A guy took a break and quickly climbed up. Just give up on that idea. That Night Sorrow has already been accepted as the last disciple of the Taishin Peak's Peak Master. Oh right, the Taishin Peak's Peak Master is now the Valley Master. He is the last disciple of the Valley Master, He Miao said to that guy and quickly climbed up to surpass everyone. So he has such a strong background. No wonder he is so powerful, a youth in black said. Shut up. If you say anything bad about him, I will fall out with you. Hearing the words of the youth in black, He Miao immediately became unhappy. Chapter 177. Yes, someone is practicing with the spear. It's the Lord Night Sorrow you mentioned. Enlightenment curled his lips and said. Qiming curled his lips. He had only climbed to 4,200 meters, but Night Sorrow had already reached 4,800 meters. This deeply irritated him. How high did he climb? He can still practice with the spear? Asked the man in black. He was the one who said that Night Sorrow's achievements depended on his background. 4,800 meters. I heard what you said back then. Yi Shang's achievements today are all the result of his own hard work. It's not because he's someone's disciple. When he climbed 3,000 meters in the 3rd level of Qi refinement, he hadn't joined the Medicine Valley yet. How high do you think you can climb if you control your cultivation to the 3rd level of Qi refinement? Qiming asked the young man in black. That's amazing. Lord Enlightenment, what's Lord Night Sorrow's cultivation level now? He Miao asked excitedly. 6th level of Element Gathering tier. However, you can't judge this guy based on his cultivation level. He has already broken the record of climbing Danding Cliff in the Element Gathering tier. You all have to work hard in this direction, Enlightenment said. Qiming said. He was also saying this to himself. Originally, he thought that he was on par with Yi Shang. Even if Yi Shang defeated Shi Yunxiao, he didn't think that he was much stronger than him. Today, he knew that the gap between the two of them was huge. Soon, the 4th test ended. The Medicine Valley sent out flying beasts to pick up the examinees who were hanging on Danding Cliff. The entrance ceremony of the Medicine Valley was also held at the foot of Danding Cliff. This time, there were more than 600 people who passed the test. With so many people participating and the lowered standards, the number of people who passed was many times more than the previous test. Yu Yangyu stood up and walked to the front of this group of people. I'm very happy to see that you all passed the entrance test. Now, it's time for you to choose which peak to join. Those who choose Taishin Peak, stand 10 feet to the east. Those who choose 9 Peak, stand 10 feet to the west. Those who choose Crepe Myrtle, stand here and don't move, Yu Yangyu announced. After Yu Yangyu finished speaking, the examinees who passed the test began to riot and then split up. After that, the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley had different expressions on their faces. Some were smiling, some were surprised, and some were angry. Of the more than 600 people who passed the assessment, nearly 500 ran to the east. The remaining 100 people didn't move. Only a dozen people went to the west. There was also a good-natured young man who ran from the west to the east. At this time, Chu Lingxiao's body flashed and blocked in front of the dignified youth. Didn't you choose 9 Peak? Why you still running around? Replying to Lord, this disciple came to the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony for Taishin Peak. I don't distinguish between east, west, north, and south. I only know left and right. I just asked and found out that I ran in the wrong direction, the dignified youth said with some embarrassment. Many of the higher-ups of the Medicine Valley couldn't help but laugh. Nowadays, there were still people who didn't distinguish between east, west, north, and south. But you can go. Chu Lingxiao returned to his original position and glanced at Su Chenbai. It wasn't his fault that 9 Yin Peak couldn't accept disciples. It was Su Chenbai's fault for ruining its reputation. Valley Master, this won't do. We accepted 600 people, but 500 of them were taken by Taishan Peak. This doesn't make sense. Seeing that most of the disciples were taken by Taishan Peak, Yi Xiling was unwilling. This was also the reason why Chu Lingxiao didn't say anything. He knew that Yi Xiling would say something. Peak Master Yi, this is their own choice. No one forced them to choose Taishan Peak. We have to respect the disciples' wishes, Gong Xian said. Although his seniority was lower than Yi Xiling's, when it came to the interests of Taishan Peak, Gong Xian wasn't willing to back down. Don't tell me that if all the disciples choose Taishan Peak in the future, the other peaks won't accept disciples? Yi Xiling looked at Gong Xian and said with a glare. It's also a skill to be able to make a new disciple choose you. If you want to accept disciples, then you have to work hard to make a name for yourself. Gong Xian's voice wasn't loud, but his words were sharp. What he meant was that Taishan Peak had a reputation. If they wanted to accept disciples, then they had to make a name for themselves. You bastard, do you think I don't dare to teach you a lesson? Yi Xiling was angry. She was about to attack Gong Xian, her silver hair fluttering in the wind. Although Yi Xiling was very old, her silver hair was her signature. Her face looked like she was in her 30s. If Martial Ant wants to teach him a lesson, then Gong Xian will accept it. But when it comes to accepting disciples, we have to follow the rules. Gong Xian refused to back down. Original WP first 2 posts X/. Alright, stop arguing. Come here. Let me ask you, why did you join Taishan Peak? Grand Elder stopped Yi Xiling, who was about to flip out, and waved at He Miao. Milord, it's because Lord Night Sorrow is from Taishan Peak. He Miao bowed. Yes, he's here for 13. Of course, we can't refuse him. Then come here. Why did you join Taishan Peak? Grand Elder asked, pointing at the dignified youth who had made a mistake. Milord, this disciple is from South Sky City. Taishan Peak has 2 lords from South Sky City. I've never heard of 9 Yin Peak. Crepe Myrtle is full of women. I won't go, the dignified youth said. You bastard who can't even differentiate between east, west, north, and south? Even if you gave us Crepe Myrtle, we wouldn't want you, Yi Xiling shouted angrily after hearing the youth's words. I can't differentiate between east, west, north, and south, but my father said that differentiating between left and right is enough. Also, I'm not a bastard, I'm called Xiang Ding. The youth looked at Yi Xiling with dissatisfaction. Ai wanted to laugh, but she held it in. She couldn't help but turn around and lean on Yang Lei. Her body kept twitching as she tried to hold back her laughter. What are you laughing at? There are no good people in Taishan Peak. If you don't want to be my Crepe Myrtle disciple, then give the one up there to my Crepe Myrtle. Yi Xiling pointed at the top of Danding Cliff. No. Impossible. Yi Xiling's words caused the 11 disciples under Taishan Peak Yu Yangyu to react. They all stood up. Are you guys rebelling? Yi Xiling pointed at Wu Qi, Huanan, Yang Lei and the rest. Xiling, you can't take Night Sorrow with you. He wouldn't even go to Danding Peak when the Valley Lord brought him there. If you want him to go to Crepe Myrtle, he definitely won't agree. The Great Elder laughed. How would I know if I don't ask? Crepe Myrtle will do its best to nurture him. Also, we have many female disciples in Crepe Myrtle. If we arrange 10 wives for him in the future, I don't believe he won't go. Yi Xiling looked at the female disciples behind her and said. Yi Xiling's words made the female disciples of Crepe Myrtle blush. Their peak lord was putting in a lot of effort and didn't even care about them. Chapter 178. How about this? All the female disciples will be taken away by Crepe Myrtle if there is no special reason. Yu Yangyu said. If he didn't say anything, Who knew what other things Yi Xiling would say? There are only 40 or 50 female disciples. Yi Xiling was still somewhat dissatisfied, but she didn't say anything against it. After all, Yu Yangyu's words were the Valley Master's decree and couldn't be questioned. In the future, all the female disciples will be taken away by crepe myrtle if there is no special reason, Yu Yangyu said to Yi Xiling. Crepe myrtle thanks the Valley Master. Yi Xiling bowed to Yu Yangyu. She knew that Yu Yangyu was taking care of crepe myrtle. Valley Master, what about our 9-in peak? Seeing that the problem with crepe myrtle had been solved, Chu Ling Shao asked. This time, you will take 200 people back. The rest will be taken by Taishan Peak. If you want the young people to yearn for it, then make 9-in Peak famous. In the future, no one will be taken care of. From the next ceremony onwards, except for the female disciples who don't have any special requirements will be taken by crepe myrtle, everyone else will be subject to the opinions of the disciples. Yu Yangyu said to Gong Xian. Yes, but Taishan Peak's fame isn't due to Peak Master Gong. Chu Ling Shao looked at Gong Xian and said, Taishan Peak was the biggest winner in this ceremony, so of course he was unhappy. Io. Peak Master Chu Ling Shao, are you provoking Taishan Peak? Let's exchange pointers? Yang Lei stepped forward and looked at Chu Ling Shao with a smile on her face. She was now stronger than Chu Ling Shao, so she was confident that she could exchange pointers with him. Don't forget that you are now the mayor of Danding City, an elder of Medicine Valley, not an elder of Taishan Peak. Your territory is in Danding City. You have no business here. Chu Ling Shao glared at Yang Lei. You. Yang Lei pointed at Chu Ling Shao, but she couldn't refute him. Because once one became an elder of the Medicine Valley, he would belong to the entire Medicine Valley. Chu Ling Shao, I don't want to bully you, so don't cause trouble. No matter where my 9th junior sister is, she is still a member of Taishan Peak. Gong Xian stood up and said, Good. The sect needs this kind of competition. But I won't forgive anyone who goes overboard, the first elder said with a smile. The first elder is right. The sect needs competition. Only with competition can there be vitality. Qian, bring these new disciples back. When you have time, you can contact Night Sorrow. If he is willing to come to Crepe Myrtle, then what I said just now will be effective at any time. Yi Xiling glanced at Gong Xian, then turned and left. Before she left, she threw a bomb. She was going to continue to poach Night Sorrow. What did she say just now? As long as Night Sorrow went to Crepe Myrtle, she would arrange 10 wives for him. This made the other wolves jealous. What kind of treatment was this? It was a blessing. The crowd in front of Danding Cliff quickly dispersed. The new members were taken away by Taishan Peak, 9-in Peak, and Crepe Myrtle. The higher-ups of Medicine Valley also left. This time, the apprenticeship ceremony was over. Night Sorrow was still cultivating on top of Danding Cliff. He was now like a thirsty person who had encountered a sweet spring. He didn't need the help of medicinal pills at all, and he could achieve better results than medicinal pills. How could he not work hard? Hua Yunpeng had always seen Night Sorrow's hard work. This made him very satisfied and impressed. He had been the Valley Master for many years, but he had never seen a disciple with a temperament like Night Sorrow. Even his disciples, Yi Shui and Chu Ling Shao, couldn't compare. When his true Qi and myriad Tao Tome's energy were exhausted, Night Sorrow meditated to recover. When he recovered, he continued to cultivate. When he was mentally exhausted, Night Sorrow inserted the reincarnation spear into the crevice of the pill tripod cliff and used his clothes to connect himself to the reincarnation spear. He laid on the platform and took a light nap. If he didn't do this, he was afraid that he would fall down. 6 or 7 days passed in this cultivation session. Every day, there would be disciples from the Medicine Valley coming to the opposite mountain peak to see this freakishly awesome person. On the evening of the 7th day, Night Sorrow recovered and was about to practice his spear arts when Hua Yunpeng appeared. You should rest. Night Sorrow bowed to Hua Yunpeng and said, Disciple has about 300 merit points, which can be used for 10 days. Disciple intends to use them all up before leaving. Hua Yunpeng smiled and told Night Sorrow that disciples who broke the record did not need to pay contribution points to cultivate at Danding Cliff. That's great, then I can come here to cultivate without any restrictions in the future. After hearing Hua Yunpeng's words, Night Sorrow was so excited that he almost jumped up. To him, this was great news. Update carat new, soonest p asterisk, you're so happy. Don't you feel tired? Hua Yunpeng asked. I'm a little tired. I've been worried about wasting time and wasting merit points, so I've been in a hurry to cultivate. Night Sorrow nodded. He was indeed a little tired, mentally tired. Very honest. On the path of cultivation, you can't always be tense. You have to have a balance between tension and relaxation. Go back and rest for a while before coming back. Hua Yunpeng said to Night Sorrow. He knew that if he didn't stop him, Night Sorrow would continue to cultivate for a long time. He might even stay at Danding Cliff forever. Bowing to Hua Yunpeng, Night Sorrow placed the reincarnation spear behind his back and said, Disciple will return first. Hua Yunpeng smiled and said, Go on. Night Sorrow waved his arm and Tianyu appeared. Due to the impact of Danding Cliff's energy, Tianyu's height was reduced by 60 to 70 feet. Only when he was 20 feet away from Danding Cliff did Tianyu escape from the suppression of Danding Cliff's energy. Then he flew back to Night Sorrow's height. Night Sorrow violently struck his palm at Danding Cliff. Borrowing the rebounding force, he executed dragon leap steps and landed on Tianyu's back. With the pressure gone, Night Sorrow felt very relaxed. He roared to the sky and controlled Tianyu to leave. Full of youthfulness, it's good to be young. Looking at Night Sorrow's back, Hua Yunpeng muttered softly. Night Sorrow controlled Tianyu and flew towards Danding Peak. He wanted to greet Yu Yangyu first before returning to Taishan Peak. In the main hall of Danding Peak, Night Sorrow saw Yu Yangyu and the Great Elder. Disciple greets Master and Great Elder. Night Sorrow bowed to Yu Yangyu and the Great Elder. Not bad, you're not far from the 7th level of Element Gathering Tier. Once you reach the 7th level of Element Gathering Tier, you can eat the Element Gathering Pill and go to Danding Cliff to consolidate your cultivation. Soon, you'll be able to reach the 8th level of Element Gathering Tier. Yu Yangyu looked at Night Sorrow and nodded in satisfaction. 13. There are actually many things you can do other than cultivating. You're not familiar with the Medicine Valley. If you have nothing to do, you should walk around and relax. Crepe Myrtle even invited you over. If you have time, go take a look. There are good things waiting for you. The Great Elder said with a smile. At the same time, he left a trap for Night Sorrow. Chapter 179. Crepe Myrtle? Oh, I've seen Crepe Myrtle's Lanyu before, but I'm not too familiar with her. Since she invited me, I'll go and take a look, Night Sorrow nodded. Alright, go back. Let your 6th senior sister arrange a good meal for you. You haven't even had a full meal these past few days, Yu Yangyu said. Alright, then I'll go back first, Night Sorrow nodded and left Danding Palace. He rode on Tianyu and flew towards Taishan Peak. Great Elder, isn't this a trap for 13? If he goes to Crepe Myrtle, can he handle Peak Lord Ye's forces? Yu Yangyu looked at Great Elder and asked. 13 has no problems in other areas, but in the area of women he needs to go through some tests. That way, he won't be taken advantage of in the future. I believe in his determination, Great Elder said with a smile. Yu Yangyu shook his head helplessly. When Great Elder said that, he knew that it was a trap, but he didn't remind Night Sorrow. He knew that Great Elder had a reason for saying that. It was just as he had guessed. After returning to Taishan Peak, Night Sorrow went straight to the Bamboo Grove house. It wasn't convenient to go there. In the Bamboo Grove house, Night Sorrow saw Aoi, Yang Lei, Huanan, and Gong Xian, as well as a few dozen newcomers. Only C, Yijing Edition $F, He are all robbers WM Edition Phi, 13 you're back. Your cultivation level is rising fast enough. You're not far from the 7th level of Element Gathering Tier. Gong Xian greeted him. Cultivating at Danding Cliff, my cultivation level is rising fast. However, the elders of the sect don't want me to stay there forever, Night Sorrow said with a nod. Today, 6th senior sister will arrange good food and wine to reward you. Shenrong, Bring them over to greet Martial Uncle 13, Aoi called out to her eldest disciple, Shinrong. Now that Shinrong had leveled up, he had many junior brothers and 2 junior sisters under him. Everyone, come over quickly and pay your respects to 13th Martial Uncle. Shenrong shouted at the group of newcomers. Night Sorrow was not used to more than 20 bows. He even wanted to bow back. Fortunately, Aoi stopped him. It would be funny if a martial uncle bowed back to his martial nephew. Seeing that Night Sorrow was not used to it, Aoi sent the disciples to the side. 13. Taishan Peak is accepting disciples this time. I didn't make any arrangements for you, and you don't have the energy to teach others right now, Gong Xian stated his decision. Thank you, eldest senior brother. If you really arranged it for me, then I would really be finished. How can I teach others now? I need others to guide me in my own cultivation. I don't want them in the future. Night Sorrow directly expressed his opinion. He didn't want a group of burdens following behind him. Okay, what's your next plan? Gong Xian looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I spent more than 10 days on the mission last time. After that, I came back to participate in the disciple recruitment ceremony. I stayed at Danding Cliff for 7 to 8 days. It's almost the beginning of the month. I plan to go to Danding City to accept a mission and raise my level in Tianji Tower to silver in one go. Night Sorrow made his decision. He wanted to raise his level in Tianji Tower as much as possible. But you have to be careful. We'll go to Danding City together tomorrow. Yang Lei agreed with Night Sorrow's decision. It's okay. 9th senior sister, you still have to take care of the disciples. I'll go by myself. Night Sorrow shook his head and refused. It's okay. Let Jiang Ziming bring the newcomers to my mansion tomorrow. Yang Lei said. While the few of them were chatting, Qing Ji's maidservants and Odd Job's disciples had already served the food and wine. I really need to have a good meal. Night Sorrow sat down and started eating. He didn't hold back when he was with his senior brothers and sisters. Aoi then called for the servants to serve the 100 herbs wine. After asking around, Aoi heard that Night Sorrow didn't have any more 100 herbs wine and green blood wine. Aoi then asked the servants to bring in a few jars for Night Sorrow. 6th junior sister, if old 7 and old 8 knew about this, I don't know what they would say about you. They all want your good wine. Gong Xian said with a smile. Come over if you want a drink. 13 goes out often. The green carrot leopard bone wine should be ready in 2 days. Aoi said. By the way, do you have any more blood essence pills? They're quite effective for me. Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, these are all for you. But I don't have the recipe. I don't know how to make them. Night Sorrow took out his remaining blood essence pills and placed them on the table as he ate. I don't need them. 9th junior sister, you practice heaven covering hand. You should use more. Huan Nin said. I'll break down the blood essence pills tomorrow and see what materials they're made of. If it goes well, our Taishan Peak can use these pills to strengthen the bodies of disciples who enter the 3rd rank. Aoi said. Senior sister, if the blood essence pills can be used, why can't the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill? Night Sorrow put down his chopsticks and asked after filling his stomach. It's different. It has a completely different effect. After we consume the blood essence pills, we can absorb a portion of the energy and strengthen our bodies. This requires a foundation of the 3rd rank. The leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill is too strong. It can't be absorbed at all. It's useless even if you enter the 4th rank. Aoi explained to Night Sorrow. Hearing Qing Ji's words, Yi Shang understood. Without a relatively strong body and cultivation method, not to mention the leopard embryo muscle strengthening pill, even the blood essence pill wouldn't be able to be refined. This was also the reason why one had to be at the 3rd tier to use the blood essence pill. After drinking with everyone for a while, Night Sorrow went to rest. This time, it was just a simple rest. He was mentally exhausted these past few days. After resting for a night, he got up and practiced his spear techniques. Night Sorrow saw Yang Lei coming over. Let's have breakfast and then we'll leave. At this moment, Night Sorrow remembered the great elder's words. Crepe Myrtle had invited him. However, he felt that he could go after completing the mission. It wouldn't delay anything. After eating breakfast, Yang Lei told Jiang Ziming something. Then she and Night Sorrow rode Tianyu and the Green Condor to Danding City. After arriving at Yang Lei's mansion in Danding City, Night Sorrow asked the servants to feed Tianyu. Then, he got up and went to Tianji Tower. Seeing Night Sorrow, the receptionist who looked down on Night Sorrow sent Night Sorrow to the top floor where Enforcer Dong was. It's the end of the month, not the beginning of the month. Did you remember the wrong date? Seeing Night Sorrow, Enforcer Dong felt a little strange. I know it's the end of the month. I'm here today to invite Enforcer Dong for a drink. We'll talk about the mission tomorrow. Night Sorrow found a seat and sat down. Enforcer Dong put down what he was doing and sat down opposite Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow took out a jar of 100 herbs wine and some jerky and placed them on the table. Not bad. You broke the record of Danding Cliff in the Medicine Valley for thousands of years. That's very impressive. Enforcer Dong said with a smile. Chapter 180. The Celestial Terminus Tower is well informed. Without a channel, how can they issue missions and collect mission information? But they don't have any bad intentions, Enforcer Dong said with a smile. Let's not talk about their bad intentions. This ability is really creepy. Tianji Tower doesn't participate in the power struggle in various regions. If they did, who would be a match for Tianjin Tower? Besides, just because they don't fight for power now doesn't mean they won't fight for power in the future. Night Sorrow was quite touched. But after thinking about it, he felt that when he climbed Danding Cliff, there were many people watching the ceremony. It was normal for Tianjin Tower to know about the news. Night Sorrow, work harder. You won't have any problems in Black Tower, Enforcer Dong said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. This was what he was working towards. Another reason he came here was to see if there was a letter from Sikong Chuyu. However, he didn't ask because there was no need. If there was a letter, Enforcer Dong would tell him. Since he didn't say anything, it meant that there wasn't a letter. After drinking a jar of wine with Enforcer Dong, Night Sorrow left. Before he left, he used a low-grade spiritual stone to exchange for a yin-yang formation diagram. Although he was a little disappointed that there was no letter from Sikong Chuyu, it didn't affect Night Sorrow's mood. You're back, Yang Lei greeted when she saw Night Sorrow coming back. Senior sister, I have something to discuss with you, Night Sorrow said. Yang Lei nodded and took Night Sorrow to the study of her mansion. She knew that Night Sorrow wouldn't be so serious if it wasn't something important. In Yang Lei's study, Night Sorrow told her that he wanted to go to Lushan Venerable's cave residence. That's fine too. You go and accept the mission tomorrow, and then senior sister will accompany you. Yang Lei nodded. In the past, she had been worried about Yishang's safety and did not want him to go. However, now that Yishang had grown up, it was easy for accidents to happen. If a cultivator with heaven-defying luck appeared, they might discover the location of Lushan Supremacy's cave abode. At that time, Yishang's opportunity would be theirs. After resting for a night, Yishang went to the Extreme Heaven Tower early in the morning. Yishang once again met acquaintances. These acquaintances were none other than Qin Zhan and Kong Jun. Yishang didn't pay attention to the two and directly brought them to the entrance to wait. Martial uncle, are you serious? When Night Sorrow was resting with his eyes closed, Shi Yunhai appeared. When he saw Night Sorrow, he was a little depressed. I'm sorry, but I'll just sweep the place once more. I won't fight with you guys anymore. By the way, how's your brother? Night Sorrow asked Shi Yunhai apologetically. He has already broken through to rank 3. He will probably go to Danding Cliff to cultivate in the near future. He won't come out to do any missions, Shi Yunhai said. Congratulate him for me. After saying that, Night Sorrow saw the door of Tianji Tower open and walked in. Night Sorrow had just entered when he heard a commotion coming from behind. Why are you squeezing? It was Shi Yunhai's voice. Shi Yunhai had a conflict with Qin Zhan and Kong Jun. We came first. Kong Jun said, believe it or not, I'll follow you every day. Every time you do a mission, I'll disrupt it, Shi Yunhai said. Are you trying to scare me? Kong Jun said coldly. You can try. Why don't you go in first and let me have a look? Shi Yunhai really stepped aside. Well, if you want to go in, then go in quickly. Qin Zhan pulled Kong Jun and said to Shi Yunhai. His face was very ugly. He knew that Shi Yunhai would really do it. If he provoked Shi Yunhai, then his life would not be easy. Kid, you're still too inexperienced. You found the wrong person to play with me. Shi Yunhai despised Qin Zhan and Kong Jun and entered the lobby of Tianji Tower. Senior brother. Kong Jun looked at Qin Zhan puzzledly. Be quiet in the future. Don't provoke people if you don't have anything to do. Keep your eyes open. Qin Zhan snapped at Kong Jun. He was annoyed in his heart. If it wasn't for Qin Hai provoking Night Sorrow, he wouldn't have lost face. Now, even Luo Daoyuan didn't like him. Night Sorrow saw Enforcer Dong as soon as he entered the lobby of Tianji Tower. Enforcer Dong waved at Night Sorrow and brought Night Sorrow to the counter. Try harder. This time, it's almost done. Enforcer Dong said to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. He gestured with his fingers and accepted the bronze difficulty. He didn't stop until he felt that there was no problem to promote to silver. As for the black iron difficulty, he didn't touch it because the enlightenment was coming. Enforcer Dong, I still want to exchange for some middle-grade spirit stones. Can I exchange them here? Night Sorrow asked after accepting the task. There's no problem in exchanging high-grade spirit stones for low-grade spirit stones. However, the ratio of low-grade spirit stones for high-grade spirit stones is different from the normal ratio. Enforcer Dong said. Okay. According to the normal ratio, we will use the ratio. Night Sorrow had a lot of low-grade spirit stones. During this period of time, he had done bronze tasks and received a lot of spirit stones as a reward. Low-grade spirit stones were used for alchemy or to arrange some simple arrays. They weren't too precious. However, high-grade spirit stones were different. Cultivators above rank 5 could absorb the energy of spirit stones to cultivate. However, high-grade spirit stones were too rare. No one could afford to use spirit stones for cultivation. Moreover, rank 5 cultivators were very rare. After Yi Shang had saved enough low-grade spirit stones for alchemy, he exchanged his low-grade spirit stones for mid-grade spirit stones. He now had more than 40 pieces. After doing this, Night Sorrow left Tianji Tower and returned to the City Lord's mansion to find Yang Lei. It was time to go out. Yang Lei needed to arrange things. When Night Sorrow arrived, Yang Lei had already finished her work. She then left the City Lord's mansion with Night Sorrow. The two of them got on the Tianyu and the Green Eagle and left. Enforcer Dong stood in the attic of Tianji Tower and saw everything clearly. He hoped that Night Sorrow would complete the task on his own. Since he had been promoted to purple, the Tianji Tower had sent people to verify whether the task was done by Night Sorrow himself. This would affect the evaluation of the Tianjin Tower on Night Sorrow. During the flight, Night Sorrow told Yang Lei that they would go to Lushan to complete the task first. I'll follow your arrangements. I don't know what Lushan the Venerable left behind. However, seeing that he used an array to seal the entrance, it means that he left something important behind, Yang Lei said. I don't know what level this Venerable Lushan is at. However, no matter how heaven-defying his cultivation base is, he was still buried by history. Night Sorrow said with a sigh. You don't know about this. A 5th-grade cultivator is an expert. Only a 6th-grade cultivator can be called a venerable. In other words, Venerable Lushan is a 6th-grade cultivator. However, it's hard to say what level he is at. Besides, no one can say for sure whether he is dead or alive. You should know that a 6th-grade cultivator will have a long lifespan. Yang Lei then told him about the lifespan of a cultivator. Qi refining realm cultivators were the same as ordinary cultivators. There was not much difference between them. A Qi gathering realm cultivator would have a lifespan of around 130 years. A core formation realm cultivator would have a lifespan of 200 years. A spirit severing realm cultivator would have a lifespan of 300 years. A void inquiry stage cultivator would have a lifespan of 500 years. A 6th-grade vast heaven realm cultivator would have a lifespan of 800 years. It was conceivable that it was not easy for a cultivator to die of old age. Chapter 181. It's hard to say. Yang Lei shook her head. I've checked the information. Lushan the Venerable was a figure from 2,000 years ago. It's been 2,000 years. Unless he enters the 7th rank, he must be dead. Night Sorrow told her what he knew. Then he must be dead, because after so many years, no one has been able to reach the 7th step. Even those who have reached the 6th step are rare. Do you know how the 7 great forces are evaluated? It's because they have venerables even if they are low-level venerables. As long as a force has a venerable, it's the super force. Of course, there are different levels of venerables. Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow, Senior sister, according to what you said, the 7 super forces in the Eastern Profound Domain all have venerables, but there are no venerables in the Medicine Valley. Is that right? Night Sorrow asked. 9 Moxanu chapter and our Supra, 6K, it's like this. The Holy Cauldron scripture in the Medicine Valley has been lost, and the Heavenly Cauldron scripture is also incomplete. It means that after cultivating to the peak of the 4th rank, it's extremely difficult to enter the 5th rank, let alone the 6th rank. The venerables in the sect are all extremely talented people. They entered the 5th rank by fumbling around. After entering the 5th rank, they cultivated according to the incomplete scripture. Of course, their cultivation speed is slow, and they have no hope of entering the 6th rank. Yang Lei said, Without a 6th rank venerable, the sect has to be careful. Night Sorrow nodded. It's not like the sect doesn't have talented members. Do you know why Grand Elder Hua didn't manage the affairs of the valley a few years ago and was still the valley master? Yang Lei looked at Yishang and asked. Night Sorrow obviously didn't know. After Yang Lei explained, Night Sorrow finally understood. Originally, Hua Yunpeng was the peak lord of Wei Peak. The current peak lord was his junior brother, Han Dang. Yi Shui was his disciple, and so was Chu Lingxiao. Hua Yunpeng was the most promising person in the Medicine Valley to reach the 6th level, so the Grand Elder helped him to the position of Valley Lord, even though he was not good at managing the affairs of the valley. However, decades had passed, and Hua Yunpeng was still stuck at the bottleneck of the peak of the 5th rank, unable to advance any further. Therefore, the sect's Grand Elders and the Valley Master had discussed and decided to appoint Yu Yangyu as the Valley Master. First of all, Yu Yangyu was the member of the Medicine Valley who had the highest chance of reaching the 6th rank other than Hua Yunpeng. Only by becoming the Valley Master could he use some of the forbidden resources of the Medicine Valley. Does that mean Grand Elder Hua has no hope of entering the 6th order? Night Sorrow was a little disappointed. Wrong, but there is hope. I heard from the Grand Elder that Grand Elder Hua is already half a step into the 6th rank. The only thing he needs is his state of mind. It has nothing to do with resources, so he vacated the position. The main reason is that you took back the Sacred Cauldron scripture, which gave him the opportunity to break through. It's the same for the others. Otherwise, do you think Grand Elder Brother and I could enter the 5th rank so easily? Yang Lei said with a smile. I see. I understand. I hope Master and Grand Elder Hua can enter the 6th rank as soon as possible. Then, the Medicine Valley won't have to listen to the Golden Flame sect anymore, Night Sorrow said as he waved his arm vigorously. This is an absolute secret. You can't leak any information. The 7 superpowers often carry out the dragon-slaying plan. As long as there is a chance of entering the 6th rank, they will send experts to eliminate them to reduce the threat and consolidate their ruling position, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. They're that despicable? Night Sorrow's expression turned ugly. The world was simply too cruel. They aren't just hunting cultivators who have a chance of breaking through to the 6th rank. They are also hunting talented seedlings. So, I hope you can attract Tianji Tower's attention and get Black's attention as soon as possible. When that time comes, the 7 superpowers will have to think twice before making a move against you. They won't be able to bear the consequences of angering Tianji Tower, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Yi Shang nodded. He really did not expect that there would be so many complicated relationships in between. Soon, they arrived at Night Sorrow's quest location. Yang Lei waited while Night Sorrow went to complete his quest. In the Golden Flame mountain range, hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Medicine Valley, Many people had gathered in the Golden Flame sect's main hall. Qi Tiancheng and Zhan Qinghe were among them. Vice Sect Master, now that the Footloose Sect and Southern Dipper Sect have calmed down, can we make a move against the Medicine Valley? Qi Tiancheng stepped forward and bowed. The old man in embroidered robes sitting in the main seat did not speak. Instead, he looked at the Golden Flame sect's upper echelons. He was the Golden Flame sect's Vice Sect Master, Zhan Tianyi. Zhan Peng was his direct descendant. The Medicine Valley is very arrogant, but we can't be sure if the Southern Dipper Sect, Footloose Sect, and the Medicine Valley have reached some kind of agreement. Otherwise, the Southern Dipper Sect and Footloose Sect would have pressured us when we tried to make a move against the Medicine Valley. Most of the Southern Dipper Sect's main force is in the Blue Cloud Mountain Range. They are definitely not bluffing, an elder said. Well, Elder Song's words are reasonable. This matter needs to be investigated. Let's wait for the news from the Southern Dipper Sect and Footloose Sect spies, Zhan Tianyi said. The Medicine Valley is still a subordinate force of the Golden Flame Sect. We don't need to worry too much. First, we need to deal with the situation of the Southern Dipper Sect and Footloose Sect. In addition, the news from the Medicine Valley says that the Medicine Valley is really going to fight to the death. Is the news true? A female elder stood up and asked. This news can't be wrong. This is what makes the Medicine Valley difficult to deal with. They are a group of lunatics. If we go a little overboard, they will immediately fight back. Zhan Tianyi slapped the armrest of the chair and growled. We still need to stabilize the situation before dealing with them. Even if we take them down forcefully, our strength will be greatly damaged. It's better to deal with them properly when the forces under the sect are fighting. Since they are a subordinate sect, then we can kick them out of the ranking and control them with resources, an old man with a hooked nose said coldly. He was the law enforcement elder of the Golden Flame sect, Su Chenfeng. Let's do that first. I will send people to the Footloose sect to see what they want. The Southern Dipper sect thinks that they are strong and act domineeringly. However, the Footloose sect is not much stronger than our Golden Flame sect. What qualifications do they have to declare war on us? Zhan Tianyi roared with some annoyance. This was human nature. The Southern Dipper sect was stronger than the Golden Flame sect, so they could accept a declaration of war. It was normal for them to fight. The Footloose sect was about the same as the Golden Flame sect. Therefore, the Footloose sect sent people to the border area and wanted to fight. This made Zhan Tianyi a little uncomfortable. Following Zhan Tianyi's words, the people in the hall all left, leaving only Zhan Tianyi and Su Chenfeng. Vice Sect Master, Chen Bai sent a letter a while ago. He seems to have been taken over by the Medicine Valley, Su Chenfeng said. It shouldn't be the intention of the Medicine Valley. If they were really sure, then Chenfeng wouldn't be safe and sound. Besides, even if they found out, they wouldn't dare to do anything to Chen Bai. Could it be that they really want to declare war on our Golden Flame sect? Zhan Tianyi said after thinking for a while. Chapter 182. Su Chenbai was his younger cousin, a member of the Su family. Now that there was a risk, he wanted to summon Su Chenbai back to prevent any accidents. However, Zhan Tianyi refused several times. Now that the sect master was in seclusion, Zhan Tianyi was in charge of the Golden Flame sect. Even though he was the law enforcement elder, he couldn't directly disobey. He even suspected that Zhan Tianyi was trying to attack the Su family's power. The Golden Flame sect's power was formed by families. It was a gathering of several big families, and there were marriages and other relationships. The two biggest families in the Golden Flame sect were the Su family and the Zhan family. The sect master was the Su family's head, Su Rukong, and the vice sect master was the Zhan family's head, Zhan Tianyi. Now that Zhan Tianyi didn't allow Su Chenbai to be summoned back, Su Chenfeng was a little annoyed, but he couldn't do anything. Zhan Tianyi glanced at Su Chenfeng and left the meeting hall. He knew what Su Chenfeng wanted, but for the sake of the Golden Flame sect, he wouldn't agree. Night Sorrow used half a month to finish all the missions on hand. In this half a month, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei ran tens of thousands of miles. Other than completing all the missions, Night Sorrow also raised his chi cultivation to the peak of the 6th level of Element Gathering Realm and the peak of the 4th level of Muscle Strengthening Realm of the Myriad Dao Treasured Book. The reason he could cultivate so quickly was because of the foundation he had tempered at Danding Cliff. After completing all the missions, Night Sorrow didn't feel any pressure and planned to break through first. He wanted to break through the Myriad Dao Treasured Book, but he wasn't in a hurry to break through his chi. When his chi reached the 7th level of Element Gathering Realm, he could eat chi-boosting pills and reach the peak of the 7th level of Element Gathering Realm, so he didn't lack time. However, the Myriad Dao Treasured Book was different. Night Sorrow didn't have any pills to directly raise his cultivation. He had to do it step by step, so time was more important. Yong Vi Jiu be free. Read novels MZ. There was still a day's distance from Lu Mountain. Night Sorrow told Yang Lei his idea. Okay, your cultivation is solid, so there's no point in suppressing it. You can break through tonight. Hearing that Night Sorrow was about to break through, Yang Lei was only happy. She came out to accompany Night Sorrow. She had nothing else to do and there was no delay. Using a single night's time, Night Sorrow strengthened the small veins in his hands and feet, entering the 5th level of the tendon strengthening realm. When the Myriad Taoist scripture reached the 6th level of the muscle strengthening realm, it strengthened the meridians in his shoulders and connected the dragon tendons in his back to the tendons in his arms. Entering the 7th rank of the muscle strengthening realm was to strengthen the waist tendons, connecting the dragon tendons to the tendons in the legs. The 8th rank of the muscle strengthening realm was to strengthen the tendons in the chest and abdomen. Level 9 strengthened the meridians in the neck, allowing the energy in the torso to circulate more smoothly. When all the meridians in his head were strengthened, he would enter the 3rd realm of the Myriad Tao Treasured Tome, the bone tempering realm. Now that he had reached the 5th level of the tendon strengthening realm, the strength of Night Sorrow's hands and legs had increased. After leveling up, Night Sorrow stretched his body. He leaped up and punched the ancient tree. Pang! Night Sorrow's punch shattered the tree. There wasn't the slightest injury on his hand. He then kicked out, and with an explosive sound, a 3 chi wide boulder was shattered by Night Sorrow's kick. You don't feel pain? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow with some astonishment. It doesn't hurt. After leveling up, the strength of my hands and legs increased by quite a bit. We can set off for Lu Mountain now, Night Sorrow said as he stretched lazily. Yang Lei shook her head. She had originally thought that Night Sorrow was about to break through to the 7th level of Element Gathering Tier. Now she understood that wasn't the case. Night Sorrow had broken through to the 7th level of Element Gathering Tier. Sitting on Tianyu's back, Night Sorrow stabilized his cultivation base at the 5th level of Muscle Strengthening Realm. Although Tianyu's speed wasn't as fast as the Azure Condor, he wasn't too far behind. Night Sorrow didn't have to worry about running out of energy. Yang Lei told Night Sorrow that Tianyu was already at the 3rd level of core condensation tier. His cultivation speed was extremely fast. The two of them arrived at Lu Mountain Range in the evening. According to Night Sorrow's map, they arrived at the venerable Lu Mountain's immortal cave. However, because it was already late, Yang Lei suggested that they go tomorrow. It was hard to predict what would happen in a 6th level venerable's immortal cave. Yang Lei didn't want any accidents to happen. After starting a fire, Night Sorrow chatted with Yang Lei while roasting the deer that Tianyu had caught. 13, you're 16 now. There's definitely hope that you can enter the core condensation tier before you turn 17. This speed will definitely shock the world. In the history of Medicine Valley, the fastest cultivator entered the core condensation tier at the age of 17. You should know that they started much earlier than you. Let's not talk about bone age. In fact, you started cultivating at the age of 15. The children of high-ranking members of Medicine Valley started cultivating at the age of 10. Everyone knows the difference between the two, Yang Lei said with a smile. Night Sorrow was already 16. Because he cultivated the 10,000 Tao Tome, his body grew very fast. He was already taller than Yang Lei and was about the same height as an ordinary man. Although his body didn't look burly, it contained a terrifying power. When I go back and break through to the 7th level of Gathering Element, I can reach the peak of the 7th level of gathering element after taking the spirit strengthening elixir. Then I can continue cultivating at Danding Cliff. In this way, I can reach the peak of gathering element by this year. But it's hard to say if I can enter the core condensation tier. Night Sorrow cut the food and gave a piece to Yang Lei. He kept some for himself and gave the rest to Tianyu. There's a gap between the peak of gathering element and the core condensation tier. Many individual cultivators are stuck here for their whole lives. There are also many elite disciples in Medicine Valley who are stuck here. You have to be careful. Don't enter the fake core condensation tier. That will delay things, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. I'll be careful. Yi Shang nodded. He was still a bit anxious in his heart. If he could enter the core condensation stage before the age of 17, then with the addition of being the owner of the Extreme Heaven Towers silver level token, he should be able to become the Extreme Heaven Towers Black Eye. What are you thinking about? Yang Lei saw that Night Sorrow was a little absent-minded, so she waved her hand in front of Night Sorrow's eyes. Night Sorrow reached out and slapped Yang Lei's hand away. I didn't sleep. 13. You really don't know how to be gentle with a woman. How can you hit my hand like this? By the way, do you know that Crepe Myrtle wants you to go there? Yang Lei rubbed her hand and asked. I heard from the Great Elder that they want me to go there. I've only met Lan Yu and Huang Qian a few times, so I'm not very familiar with them, Night Sorrow said. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Yang Lei smiled. I didn't expect the Great Elder to trick people. Yang Lei then told him the conditions that Yi Xiling wanted to recruit Night Sorrow. 10 wives? Forget it. I'm not going to Crepe Myrtle. I thought it was a real invitation. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Don't you know that Crepe Myrtle is a beautiful woman? Yang Lei rolled her eyes at Night Sorrow and said, I've always been with 6th senior sister and 9th senior sister. In my eyes, there are no other beauties, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Chapter 183. At the mention of Sikong Chuyu, Night Sorrow was startled. 9th senior sister, why are you bringing this up? Sikong Chuyu is a good girl. Not only is she beautiful, she's also very easy to get along with. 9th senior sister and 6th senior sister both like her very much. You know, as a woman, it's easy to make a man like her, but it's hard to make a woman like her, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. Hearing Yang Lei approve of Sikong Chuyu, he was very happy. Then are you really not going to Crepe Myrtle? Yang Lei asked again. I'm really not going. When I go back this time, I'm going to break through to the 7th level of element gathering tier, then go to Danding Cliff to cultivate. I don't have time for useless things. Night Sorrow shook his head. Don't regret it. Crepe Myrtle is a place that many disciples of the Medicine Valley want to go for a walk. It's only because they're too fierce that male disciples are forbidden from entering, Yang Lei said with a smile. The two of them casually chatted for a while, then Night Sorrow took out the bearskin and spread it on the ground. He sat down in a corner and began to cultivate. Seeing Night Sorrow sit down, Yang Lei shook her head and also began to cultivate. She admired Night Sorrow's persistence. Many people found it difficult to cultivate because they rejected cultivating. After all, it was a dry and boring process. But Yang Lei found that Night Sorrow didn't reject it at all. Instead, he enjoyed it. After cultivating for an entire night, Night Sorrow woke up early to cultivate his spear arts. After entering the 5th level of muscle strengthening, Night Sorrow's spear arts were even more powerful than before. Every strike of his spear caused the sound of the air being torn apart. After cultivating his spear arts for a while, Night Sorrow went to roast the prey that Tianyu had caught. At this time, Yang Lei, who had gone to the stream to wash up, also returned. Your Tianyu is really smart. But it's a bit hard to serve cooked food. Yang Lei's azure condor caught its own prey and ate it directly, unlike Night Sorrow's Tianyu who ate cooked food. After cleaning up, the two of them set off towards the Venerable Lushan's cave to investigate. It would be great if I could get the Venerable Lushan's killing fist manual, Night Sorrow muttered as he walked. What Shatterkill fist manual? Yang Lei, who was following behind Yishang, asked. A while ago, I bought a book about people in Danding City. I know that 2,000 years ago, the Venerable Lushan's famous techniques were the Gale Blade and Killing Fist. I'm not interested in the Gale Blade, but I do need a fist technique. The mountain-crushing fist consumes too much energy, Night Sorrow said. True. Your body is tyrannical. You really do need a fist technique for close combat. Yang Lei also knew about Night Sorrow's situation. Having a fist technique would definitely increase his combat strength. 2 hours later, the two of them arrived at the location indicated on the treasure map. This was a cliff, and in front of the cliff was an open space that was filled with violent energy. It's here, Yishan said as he closed the treasure map. Yes, it really is here. After so many years, the formations have fallen into disarray. Yang Lei nodded. Night Sorrow took out a formation diagram. It was the Yin-Yang formation diagram. He had exchanged it from Enforcer Dong. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei squatted on the ground and began to study the Yin-Yang formation. J. Latest dollar chapters D sections RS $W 13. To set up a complete Yin-Yang formation, we will need hundreds of spiritual stones. However, we don't need to set it up or repair it completely. We just need to replace the important bases with spiritual stones so that the formation can operate normally for a day or two. Yang Lei spoke her thoughts. That's what I was thinking. Let's just fill the 18 array bases with spirit stones according to the array diagram. Yishan took out a mid-grade spirit stone and said, Looks like you are well prepared. Let's begin. Yang Lei nodded. Holding the spiritual stone, Night Sorrow looked at the chaotic energy according to the diagram. Then, he threw a spiritual stone in the direction he estimated and smashed it into the ground. When the spiritual stone was thrown in, the chaotic energy stabilized a little and then began to surge again. Thurton, hurry up. Otherwise, the spiritual stone you just threw in will be drained of its energy and shatter. Yang Lei reminded Night Sorrow. After hearing Yang Lei's words, Night Sorrow kept throwing out spiritual stones with his right hand. When all 18 spiritual stones were thrown out, the chaotic energy in front of the cliff stabilized. When the energy stabilized, a stone tablet appeared in front of the cliff. On it, there were 4 simple words: Foothill Mountain Cave Mansion. Not bad. You guessed it right. However, we have to hurry up. I'm afraid these mid-grade spiritual stones won't last long. Yang Lei said. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Night Sorrow took the diagram and approached the cliff according to the diagram. The Yin-Yang formation was not a very advanced formation, but it was very violent. Once it was triggered, it would be killed by the chaotic energy. Carefully passing through the formation area, the two of them arrived in front of the stone tablet with the words, Foothill Mountain Cave Mansion. You stay behind. Yang Lei stopped Night Sorrow, who was about to enter the cave mansion. She led the way in front because she was afraid of danger. One had to know that people who had experienced a long period of cultivation had very strange personalities. It was normal for them to leave behind some killing moves. Night Sorrow carried the reincarnation spear and followed behind Yang Lei. The cave mansion was very dark. Fortunately, Yang Lei often went out to train in the past. Her storage ring was relatively well prepared. She took out 2 torches and lit them. She handed one to Night Sorrow. As they went deeper, the two of them entered a hall. It was a stone hall. Soon after, Night Sorrow shivered. He saw 2 small lanterns in the hall. They were green lanterns. There was only one possibility for such a green light. It was the eyes of a demonic beast. Yang Lei waved her arm and inserted the torch into one of the walls of the hall, illuminating the hall. Night Sorrow saw what it was when the hall lit up. It was a lizard that was 5 feet tall and 4 to 5 feet long. 13 Back off. This is a mid-stage 4th rank blue-eyed lizard. It is very poisonous. I will kill it first. Yang Lei took out her black sword. Senior sister, could it be the spirit beast guarding this place? Night Sorrow asked. If it was really a cave-guarding spirit beast, then there was no need to kill it. Impossible. Foothill Mountain Venerable was a figure from 2,000 years ago. This fellow is only a mid-stage 4th rank. It only has a few hundred years of life. There is no relationship between the two. It is a sparrow occupying a dove's nest. It came in through a hole. While speaking, the blue-eyed lizard attacked Yang Lei. However, it was knocked back by Yang Lei's sword and a bloody wound appeared on its head. The blue-eyed lizard's mid-stage 4th rank cultivation was very strong. However, its opponent was even stronger. It was Yang Lei who was at the 5th rank. They were not on the same level. After repelling the blue-eyed lizard with one sword, Yang Lei took the initiative to attack. If it was not a cave-guarding spirit beast, then there was no need to keep it alive. Chapter 184. Yang Lei swung her sword a few times, and the sword aura left several deep wounds on the blue-eyed lizard's head and neck. At that moment, Night Sorrow also saw the cave that Yang Lei had mentioned. On the east side of the rock hall, there was a big black hole with some messy sand and stones. It was obvious that the hole had been dug later on. After being injured, the blue-eyed lizard wanted to escape. How could Yang Lei let it escape? She flashed to the front of the cave and slapped the blue-eyed lizard's head with her left hand. With a muffled sound, the mid-stage class 4 blue-eyed lizard was killed by Yang Lei. Its head was smashed by the cloud-turning palm. It's quite savage. Yang Lei took 2 steps back to avoid the blood of the turquoise-eyed lizard from splashing onto her body. This is because senior sister followed me here. Otherwise, this thing would have taken my life, said Yishan. Advanced cultivators choose cave abodes with dense spirit energy. Lushan Venerable's cave abode is in the area with the most spirit energy. The blue-eyed lizard couldn't pass through the chaotic area in front of the cave abode, so it could only dig its way in, Yang Lei said as she glanced at the blue-eyed lizard's corpse. After taking out the Fey Illustrated Handbook and taking a look, Night Sorrow went forward to collect the blue-eyed lizard's gallbladder, heart blood, for poisonous fangs, and the poison sac under the fangs. These were the last valuable items on the blue-eyed lizard's body. Senior sister, you can keep these materials. After collecting the materials, Night Sorrow didn't put them away for himself. I don't need these. Just keep them. Let's continue looking inside. Yang Lei shook her head. Night Sorrow didn't say anything more and put the materials away. After putting away the materials, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei started to observe the hall. This hall was where Lushan Venerable used to live. There was a stone table, stone chairs, and some jade artifacts on the table. They were very valuable in the eyes of ordinary people, but Night Sorrow wasn't interested. Behind the stone table was an arched door, and behind it was where Lushan Venerable cultivated. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei entered the arched door with torches and discovered a different scene. The decorations were very luxurious. The floor was made of jade, the bed was made of jade, and there was a small tea table on the jade bed. There were some jade tea sets and a storage ring on the tea table. So many jades, does he want to eat them like food? Yishang, who was holding a torch, muttered. That's because you don't understand. Jade has the effect of calming the mind, so cultivators like to use jade as daily necessities. Take a look at this storage ring. Yang Lei reached out and threw the storage ring to Yishang. Senior sister, can't you just take a look? Night Sorrow said. This is your opportunity. It's fated. I can't steal the limelight. It will hurt your luck, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. Hearing Yang Lei's words, Night Sorrow picked up the storage ring and dripped blood on it to claim ownership. Everything went smoothly. Senior sister, Lushan Venerable, is dead. I didn't have any trouble claiming ownership, Night Sorrow said. I just sensed it. The original owner of the storage ring must have removed the claim. There is no aura left on it. Normally, when the owner of the storage ring dies, there will be some aura left, Yang Lei explained. Night Sorrow started to check the storage ring. Then, Night Sorrow laughed and took out 3 books. One of them was the Killing Fist Manual. Senior sister, there really is the Killing Fist Manual, Night Sorrow said excitedly. At the same time, he passed the other 2 books to Yang Lei. SM Yong Kujioyu, Fitch Look Carat 3 say, your luck is really heaven-defying. Gale Blade Technique, this is the Heaven Essence Chi Refining Scripture. They are all incredible books. What else do you have? Yang Lei took a look at the book and threw it back to Night Sorrow. Elixirs. There are some elixirs. There are also some refining materials and weapons. Night Sorrow took out everything in the storage ring. Night Sorrow and Yang Lei started to study. What made Night Sorrow and Yang Lei happy was that there were level 4 spirit calming pills and level 5 clear void pills. There were also healing pills and antidote pills. Among them, there was the profound tranquility pill, which could directly raise one's cultivation by 4 stages, and the void pill, which could raise one's cultivation by 5 stages. There were a few of each. In addition, there were nearly 100 high-grade spirit stones and a few top-grade spirit stones. Ninth Senior Sister, these things are very valuable. Night Sorrow looked at Yang Lei and said, "Don't say that you want to give them away." "These are yours," Yang Lei said. She did not want Night Sorrow to say anything. "But I can't use these." Night Sorrow said, "They are still yours. Tidy them up and put them away." Yang Lei's words did not allow Night Sorrow to refute. Night Sorrow could only tidy up the elixirs and put them away. Then, the two of them left the small room. 13. Protect the resources well. You have to know that a man's wealth is his own ruin, Yang Lei said as she patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. "But since Senior Sister has come with me, I can't let her come for nothing. Here are 5 void pills that can raise your cultivation base." Yishang took out the void pills. 13. Let me give you an example. Our relationship is the same. If you give it to 9th Senior Sister, will you feel embarrassed when you see other senior brothers and sisters? No one will say anything, but you will feel embarrassed. So, don't give it to anyone, understand? Yang Lei looked at Night Sorrow and said earnestly. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and felt that Yang Lei's words made sense, but it was not very appropriate. 9th Senior Sister, even if I reach level 5, I can still eat 1 or 2 clear void pills. There are still a few here. 9th Senior Sister needs 1 to reach level 5. You don't have to say anything. Night Sorrow took out a clear void pill and handed it to Yang Lei. Yang Lei smiled and reached out to take it. She understood that this was Night Sorrow's intention. If she did not take it, Night Sorrow would not give up. In addition, Night Sorrow also talked about the disposal of the cultivation methods. He did not need the Gale Blade and Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture. When they returned, he would let Yang Yu study them and exchange them for resources. Although Night Sorrow did not cultivate these 2 ancient books, they were high-level ancient books. The value was very high. They could be exchanged for the ancient books that Night Sorrow needed. After tidying up, the 2 of them left the immortal cave. In the middle, the 2 of them cleaned up twice for fear of missing anything. Standing at the entrance of the immortal cave, Yang Lei looked at the ground in front of the cliff and thought for a moment. 13. There are a lot of spirit stones underground. Based on the intensity of the energy storm just now, there might be high-grade spirit stones underground. We have to dig them out. These are all resources. You should know that when Ao Yushan gave you 30 high-grade spirit stones, that was the entire wealth of the Ao family. There are more than 30 spirit stones underground. Then what are we waiting for? Let's study it and break the array formation. We will be rich. Night Sorrow was worried that Yang Lei would not want it, so he deliberately said that they would be rich. Chapter 185. After studying the diagram for a while, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei still couldn't understand it. At first, they had only used spiritual stones to patch up the base of the formation. Now, it was very difficult to break the formation. Lu Shan Venerable had only left behind the diagram for the later generations to enter the formation. There was no way to break the formation. This gave Night Sorrow and Yang Lei a headache. They didn't know much about formations. On Taishan Peak, only Yang Yu and Oi knew about formations. No one else could. Break it with violence. Yang Lei was a little angry, so she made a decision. 9th Senior Sister, will it be dangerous? Night Sorrow was worried. Yang Lei then told him her idea. Before the formation was activated, they had to destroy the base of the Yin and Yang formation by force. Yang Lei took out her long sword and asked Night Sorrow to step back. Then, she quickly drew her sword with her right hand and slashed 4 times at a corner of the ground in front of the cliff. 4 streaks of sword chi cut through the ground as if they were plowing the ground. The ground was overturned. As soon as the 4 streaks of sword chi appeared, the energy in front of the cliff started to roll. However, it disappeared after a while because Yang Lei had destroyed a corner of the formation. Alright, come out and dig for spirit stones. Seeing that there were no more problems, Yang Lei beckoned Yishang over. Night Sorrow came out with his barbecued meat knife and started digging with Yang Lei. Now that they knew where the base of the formation was, they dug much faster. In an hour, they had dug out more than 60 top-grade spiritual stones and 6 supreme-grade spiritual stones. Not bad at all. The quality of these spiritual stones is better than the ones we usually see, Yang Lei said as she looked at the spiritual stones. It seems that the energy explosion didn't damage the spiritual stones. Night Sorrow nodded. That's right. Using spirit stones to set up a formation absorbs the energy of heaven and earth. It doesn't consume the spirit stones themselves. The energy here is chaotic because of the changes in nature, which cause the stones to shift, causing the positions of the spirit stones to be disrupted. However, it's not damaged yet. Keep it. Yang Lei looked at the potholes that were dug out by the 2 of them. She then turned around to look at the spirit stones and said, I don't want it anymore. I just got a lot of spirit stones, Night Sorrow said. You rascal, let's do as you say. Let's work together to make a fortune. We'll split it in half. Don't say anything else. Yang Lei immediately made the decision. In fact, this was also Night Sorrow's intention. He knew that if he directly asked Yang Lei to take half of it, she would definitely not agree. After packing up, the 2 of them got on their flying mounts. Tianyu and the Green Condor were familiar with each other, so they didn't attack each other and stayed close to each other. 13. Senior sister has profited greatly from following you this time, Yang Lei said as she looked at Night Sorrow. W/new fastest B/B/G, not as much as I have. Come, senior sister, take this. Night Sorrow threw a jar of wine to Yang Lei and then opened a jar for himself. Indeed, your luck is really heaven-defying. Now you have enough resources to use. Yang Lei said with a smile. Yes, it is indeed enough. Senior sister, do you cultivate the killing fist? Night Sorrow asked as he drank a mouthful of wine. You cultivate it. It is better for a woman to cultivate something gentler. Yang Lei opened the jar of wine and smelled it. Ninth senior sister, do you cultivate something gentler? Is the heaven-covering hand gentle? After listening to Yang Lei's words, Night Sorrow smiled. Don't talk about my shortcomings. You should know that I am not cultivating a sword art now. Yang Lei glared at Night Sorrow. Then take the Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture and the Gale Blade and exchange it for a better sword art. Night Sorrow spoke out his thoughts. 13. Do you know what the Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture means? It is an ancient book that can be cultivated up to the 6th rank. If we had not found the Sacred Cauldron scripture, the Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture could be used as the treasure book of our sect. Yang Lei felt that Night Sorrow had not discovered the preciousness of the Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture, so she reminded Night Sorrow. Then we will leave it to Master to deal with. If any of us need a cultivation method, we can exchange it. Night Sorrow said. Yang Lei nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow really did not need these cultivation methods. Night Sorrow had the complete version of the Sacred Cauldron scripture, so there was no problem for him to cultivate Jin Chi. As for battle skills, Night Sorrow had the Chasing Wind Spear art, Dragon Soaring 9 Heavens movement art, Following Cloud movement art, Heaven Covering Hand, and the Killing Fist art that he had just obtained. These were enough. After 2 days, Night Sorrow and Yang Lei returned to Danding City. When they arrived, it was already dark. Night Sorrow did not hand in the task and directly went to live in Yang Lei's mansion. When Yang Lei went to teach the disciples, Night Sorrow decided to go into seclusion. After all, he had nothing to do tonight. After teaching the disciples for a while, Yang Lei found out that Night Sorrow had gone to cultivate when she asked Night Sorrow to have a meal together. After spending a whole night, Night Sorrow raised his cultivation level to the 7th level of Element Gathering tier. After stabilizing his cultivation level for an entire morning, Night Sorrow walked out of his room. Master, why can't I see 13th Uncle's cultivation level? Jiang Ziming, who was standing beside Yang Lei, asked. Your 13th uncle is now in the 7th level of element gathering tier. You've just reached the 3rd level. What the hell can you see? Yang Lei glared at Jiang Ziming. 7th level of element gathering tier? 13th uncle has reached the 7th level of element gathering tier? Jiang Ziming's mouth was wide open. He could not believe that Night Sorrow's speed could be so fast. 9th senior sister, I plan to hand in the task, Night Sorrow said. Then go. I'll wait for you for lunch, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. She did not plan to go with Night Sorrow. After all, the City Lord's mansion was very close to Tianji Tower. Moreover, she knew that there were some things between Night Sorrow and Tianji Tower that were not convenient for outsiders to know about. Night Sorrow nodded and arrived at Tianji Tower. Seeing Night Sorrow, the woman who knew Night Sorrow went to look for Enforcer Dong. Soon, Enforcer Dong appeared in the hall. You've completed all the tasks? Enforcer Dong, help me collect them and see if I've reached the silver level, Night Sorrow said. Enforcer Dong then collected Night Sorrow's tasks. After calculating for a while, Enforcer Dong nodded. That's enough. You're the fastest cultivator in the Eastern Shen domain to advance from the Iron Token to the Silver Token. Enforcer Dong recorded Night Sorrow's information, then changed the token to the silver level. Night Sorrow, can I ask you something? Enforcer Dong asked. Enforcer Dong, you don't have to be so formal. Just say what you want to say. Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. Enforcer Dong had never spoken like this before. He was always straightforward. Why did he seem a little hesitant today? Did you complete all the tasks by yourself? Enforcer Dong asked. Yes. Sometimes, my senior brother and senior sister followed me because they were worried that the people of Golden Flame sect would attack me. I completed all the tasks by myself. It's genuine and can be investigated, Night Sorrow said with a frown after hearing Enforcer Dong's words. Don't worry. Even if others helped you complete the tasks, it's still effective. However, you're a purple follower, so Tianji Tower will definitely investigate. If it's not your own efforts, it will lower their evaluation of you, Enforcer Dong said. Don't worry. I did it by myself, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 186. 7th level of Element Gathering Tier, a Silver Token Holder. That's really amazing. I thought you'd reach Core Formation Tier first, then Silver Tier, Enforcer Dong said with a smile. Look at section *G of the original chapter. I won't delay either. I'll do missions and cultivate at the same time. It doesn't matter which one reaches first, Night Sorrow said. After chatting with Enforcer Dong for a while, Night Sorrow returned to Yang Lei's mansion. He roasted and fed Tianyu the corpses of the demonic beasts bought by the servants. In Yang Lei's mansion, there were many third-generation disciples, but none of them dared to approach Night Sorrow. In their eyes, this martial uncle who had entered the sect only a year earlier than them was a monster. It was better not to get close to him. 13. How's the situation? Yang Lei, who had finished dealing with matters in the City Lord's mansion, returned. Night Sorrow took out the silver token and waved it in front of Yang Lei. It's done. I don't have to do missions for a while. Not bad. You need to stabilize your cultivation, then take the yuan increasing pill and cultivate, Yang Lei said to Night Sorrow. I plan to go to Dragon Spring Courtyard to cultivate. I'll return to the sect to see Master in a few days, Night Sorrow said. 6th senior sister has just accepted a disciple, so she's a bit busy. She doesn't have time to accompany you at Dragon Spring Courtyard. Take care of yourself, Yang Lei said after thinking for a while. She knew that in terms of cultivation environment, her place was far inferior to Dragon Spring Courtyard. Nodding, Night Sorrow jumped onto Tianyu's back and flew towards Dragon Spring Courtyard. After returning to Dragon Spring Courtyard and arranging things for Tianyu, Night Sorrow entered the main hall and saw an unexpected person. It was the Grand Elder of Medicine Valley, Hua Yunpeng. Little guy, you're really troublesome, Hua Yunpeng, who was drinking tea, said. Grand Elder, why are you here? Night Sorrow hurriedly bowed in greeting. I've been quiet for a while, so I came out for a walk. The environment here is pretty good. I want to stay here for a while. Is that okay? Hua Yunpeng put down the teacup in his hand and asked. Of course. Supreme Elder can stay as long as he wants, Night Sorrow said. Not bad, you've entered the 7th level of element gathering tier. Your foundation is very stable, and the chi and blood in your body are even more vigorous than before. You've indeed improved a lot, Hua Yunpeng evaluated as he sized up Night Sorrow. After chatting with Hua Yunpeng for a while and telling Hai Luo to take good care of Hua Yunpeng, Night Sorrow returned to his room. Night Sorrow didn't find Hua Yunpeng's visit strange. There was a natural formation in Dragon Spring Courtyard that could calm one's mind. It was normal for Hua Yunpeng to come here to find an opportunity to break through. Actually, Hua Yunpeng had been here for a few days. When Night Sorrow left Medicine Valley, Hua Yunpeng arrived at Danding City. After asking around, he found out that Hua Yunpeng had gone out with Yang Lei, so he didn't pay any attention to him. He didn't believe that Golden Flame Sect could send a 5th-level martial artist to kill Night Sorrow. When Yang Lei was at the 4th level, she could defeat almost all her opponents at the same level. Now that she had entered the 5th level, even a few 4th-level martial artists would be useless. Then, he went to Night Sorrow's Dragon Spring Courtyard. Today, he was very satisfied to see Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was truly unfazed. After entering his room, Night Sorrow ate a yuan increasing pill and began to cultivate. He planned to raise his cultivation to the peak of 7th level of yuan gathering realm as soon as possible. Then, he would go to Danding Cliff to refine his cultivation. After that, he would be able to advance to 8th level of yuan gathering realm. After hearing Enforcer Dong's words, Night Sorrow knew that he still had a long way to go before he could be blacklisted by Tianji Tower. If he entered the core condensation realm, then he would definitely be blacklisted by Tianji Tower. Through his understanding, Night Sorrow knew that blacklisted people would definitely be recruited by Tianji Tower. They could be considered as Tianji Tower's people. However, before the 4th level, there was no position assigned to them. Below the 4th level, their abilities were limited, and Tianji Tower didn't need them. Night Sorrow cultivated silently. Every day, Hua Yunpeng either fished or teased Silver Fox. After Aoi left, Hai Luo and Luo Wei took care of Silver Fox. With Night Sorrow's instructions, Silver Fox Cub didn't dislike Hai Luo and Luo Wei. What surprised Hai Luo and Luo Wei was that Silver Fox Cub was very willing to be with Hua Yunpeng. What they didn't know was that Hua Yunpeng cultivated the Tao of Inaction. He had already reached the Tao of Unity, so Silver Fox Cub felt close to him. It took Night Sorrow 3 days to completely refine the yuan increasing pill and raise his true chi cultivation to the peak of 7th level of yuan gathering realm. After coming out of the room, Night Sorrow went to Celestial Water Lake to take a bath. Then, he returned to the martial arts field and began to study the Killing Fist. The Killing Fist focused on momentum, killing the opponent in one go. The technique was Wave Force, which was true chi bombarding the opponent in waves. There was still a difference between it and Shock Force. Shock Force was true chi bursting out at the same time, while Wave Force was attacking the opponent in waves. After studying the Slaughtering Fist manual for a while and memorizing the cultivation method and techniques, Night Sorrow put away the manual and began to cultivate his fist technique. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and kept punching forward, trying to find the feeling of Wave Force. Watching Night Sorrow cultivate, Hua Yunpeng frowned. He didn't understand why Night Sorrow, who cultivated the spear art, would cultivate the fist art. Standing there without moving, Night Sorrow kept punching. Sometimes it was fast, and sometimes it took him a long time to punch once. He was trying to figure out the wave force in the fist art. Night Sorrow hadn't moved since he stood there in the morning. Only in the evening did Night Sorrow stop and go to the dining room to eat. Aren't you tired after cultivating for a whole day? Hua Yunpeng, who followed Night Sorrow into the dining room, asked. Not tired, it's okay, Night Sorrow said while eating. Not bad at all. Hua Yunpeng didn't expect Night Sorrow's answer to be like this. Little Six, take care of Tianyu and Silver Fox. After instructing Little Six, Night Sorrow went back to his room to cultivate. Whether Hua Yunpeng was there or not, it didn't affect him much. Hua Yunpeng shook his head. He understood why Yu Yangyu, who hadn't accepted a disciple for many years, accepted Night Sorrow as his last disciple. If it were him, he would have accepted him too. In accepting a disciple, talent was important, but temperament was the most important. This was something all high-level cultivators knew. After cultivating true qi and the myriad Dao tome for an entire night, Night Sorrow woke up early and began to cultivate the killing fist art. Feeling the cool breeze blowing from the Skywater Lake, Night Sorrow was touched. If he wanted to cultivate wave force, he would feel it in the water. With this idea in mind, Night Sorrow went to the Skywater Lake. He took off his outer robe and stood in the water. First, he felt the impact of the waves, then he slowly punched out. This made Hua Yunpeng, who was holding the fishing rod, feel helpless. How could he fish like this? He might as well just watch Night Sorrow cultivate. After cultivating for 2 hours, Night Sorrow finally felt the characteristics of wave force. He then jumped onto the shore and began to execute the killing fist art. Whether it was cultivating secret arts or cultivating combat skills, the most difficult thing was to get started. Once you got started, the rest would be easy. Chapter 187. Night Sorrow could be considered to have mastered the shattering killing fist technique. Every battle skill had a corresponding cultivation method, but even if you had the cultivation method, you might not be able to successfully master it. This required talent and comprehension. For example, the heaven-covering hand manual was in the Medicine Valley Scripture Pavilion, but only the Taishan Peak disciples, Yu Yangyu and Yang Lei, and the new disciple, Night Sorrow, were able to cultivate it. The shattering killing fist technique was the same. Even if some people had the shattering killing fist technique manual, they still wouldn't be able to successfully master it. The shattering killing fist technique without the wave force was no different from an ordinary fist technique. After mastering the wave force and knowing how to circulate it, Night Sorrow's cultivation became much easier. Night Sorrow's fists continuously punched out. The true qi in his body was like a wave, pouring into his hands. This fight lasted for 15 minutes. The reason he stopped was because the true qi in Night Sorrow's dantian had been used up. With a low roar, Night Sorrow's body once again moved. His fists alternated as he punched out. This time, he used the 5th level of the muscle strengthening stage's energy from the myriad Dao treasure tome. The time he could last was a bit shorter than when he used true qi. After completely exhausting his true qi and the energy in his body, Night Sorrow returned to his room to continue cultivating. What Night Sorrow didn't know was that Hua Yunpeng was stunned. He had never seen such a fist technique before. Hua Yunpeng could feel the wave force on Night Sorrow's fists. He knew that this was because he hadn't met any obstacles. Once he met any obstacles, the wave force would explode. What shocked him the most was that after exhausting his true qi, by relying on the energy in his body, Night Sorrow was still able to continue punching for nearly 15 minutes. This was simply unimaginable. This wasn't a problem of the strength of his body, but rather the fact that Night Sorrow's body contained a very powerful energy. Night Sorrow did not expect Hua Yunpeng's reaction at all. After returning to his room, he ate a leopard embryo tendon strengthening pill and began his cultivation. Currently, his true qi had reached the peak of the 7th level of element gathering tier. What he needed now was to stabilize his true qi. However, there was still a lot of room for improvement in the 10,000 Tao treasured tome. In the next few days, Night Sorrow continued to consolidate his cultivation base at the peak of the 7th level of element gathering tier while practicing the 10,000 Tao tome and the killing fist art. The current shattering kill fist in Night Sorrow's hands was truly lethal. Even if Night Sorrow's body and fist did not move, the following wave force would be able to shatter the mountain rock. If the first wave force did not shatter, the following wave force would continue to attack until the target collapsed. This was completely different from oscillating force. Oscillating force could only be used once. If it could be shattered, then it would be shattered. If it couldn't be shattered, then it couldn't be shattered. After mastering the shattering kill fist art, Night Sorrow did not want to stay in the Dragon Spring courtyard any longer. He planned to go to Danding Cliff to consolidate his cultivation base and then break through. After packing up, Knight Sorrow greeted Hua Yunpeng. Grand Elder, I plan to go to the sect's Danding Cliff to cultivate. If you need anything, just let them know. Alright, then you can go back first. Remember, don't run around. Wherever you go, you must inform your elders. Hua Yunpeng nodded and reminded Knight Sorrow. He did not plan to go back to the sect with Knight Sorrow. He needed to calm down and organize his thoughts. Riding on the Tianyu, Knight Sorrow first arrived at Yang Lei's residence in Danding City. You're planning to go back to the sect? Seeing Knight Sorrow, Yang Lei asked. Yes, senior sister. What about you? I plan to hand in the ancient book. If you need anything, I'll tell Master. Knight Sorrow planned to give the Qian Yuan Qi refining scripture and the Gale Blade Dao art to Yu Yangyu and then exchange them for some resources for his senior brother and senior sister. If possible, help me exchange the Wind and Thunder Sword art. I don't know if it's possible, but I'll go back with you, Yang Lei said after thinking for a while. She also wanted to go back and take a look. The Wind and Thunder Sword art was the ultimate skill of the Medicine Valley. It could not be obtained without outstanding contributions. Even the heaven-ranked disciples were not qualified to cultivate it. In the Medicine Valley, only the Valley Master and the Grand Elder could cultivate it. Yang Lei wanted to cultivate this sword art. However, if the price was too high, she planned to give up. After all, she was paying Knight Sorrow's resources. She had to control the price herself. If she did not go back, regardless of the price, Knight Sorrow would exchange it for her. Yang Lei was sure of this. After informing Bai Qingshan and Ao Yushan, Yang Lei and Knight Sorrow rushed to the Medicine Valley. Seeing Yang Lei and Knight Sorrow riding the Green Eagle and Tianyu leaving, Ao Yushan sighed. He was now a deputy city lord. He even felt that he was wronged when he was the city lord. There was no way he could compare with Yang Lei when he was the city lord. When he was the city lord, he did things cautiously. There were many things that he did not dare to do. For example, when he patrolled the city, he had to sit in a beast carriage and patrol for a few days. Most KK Nuyuj chapter, Shang 1. However, after Yang Lei became the city lord, she immediately announced that her mount and the mount she chose could fly. Ao Yushan did not have the courage to do so. He was mainly afraid that the sect would punish him. However, Yang Lei was not afraid and did not punish him. After half a day, Knight Sorrow and Yang Lei arrived at the Danding Peak Hall in the Medicine Valley. Knight Sorrow saw Yu Yangyu, the first elder, the second elder, Qian Wu, and Su Chenbai in the hall. Master, Knight Sorrow bowed and was about to speak. Master, 13 and I are here to greet you. Yang Lei coughed and interrupted Knight Sorrow when Knight Sorrow was about to speak. 13, your cultivation has increased well. It is very solid, the first elder said as he tapped the ground with his cane. Chenbai, go to the Merit Hall to supervise the doubling of the resources for all disciples in the Medicine Valley this year. We will discuss the matter of Danding City here, Qianwu said. Qianwu spoke. He already knew about Su Chenbai's background, so he knew that he needed to send Su Chenbai away. I will do it right away. Su Chenbai was very annoyed, but he still bowed and went to do it. 13, do you have something to tell me? Yu Yangyu knew that Knight Sorrow had something to say when Yang Lei coughed. Yes, disciple obtained an ancient book. Normally, disciple shouldn't negotiate with the sect, but I want to exchange it for some battle skills for senior brother and senior sister, said Yishang. Let me see what technique it is. Yu Yangyu wasn't unhappy that Knight Sorrow wanted to negotiate. He was happy that Knight Sorrow was thinking for his senior brother and sister, but he was the Valley Master and had to maintain his dignity. Knight Sorrow handed the Qian Yuan Qi refining scripture to Yu Yangyu. Yu Yangyu looked at it carefully and flipped through a few pages. When he saw that it was a 6th-level cultivation technique, Yu Yangyu's expression changed. He then handed the scripture to the first elder. This is an ancient book. Look at the color of the animal skin. It is quite old. If it is not fake, it can be used as a sect-guarding scripture. Where did you get it? The first elder was a little excited after looking at it carefully. This is the scripture of Lushan supremacy. I got it by chance. As for whether it is real or fake, I don't think anyone can reach the 6th level, Night Sorrow answered directly. Chapter 188. That is indeed the case. The value of this book is immeasurable. 13. Do you have any requests? The great elder asked after handing the book to Qian Wu. I would like to exchange it for the combat skills that senior brother and senior sister need, mainly the wind and thunder sword technique. Night Sorrow bowed to the great elder. Don't you need anything for yourself? Qian Wu, who had yet to read the book, asked. I don't need anything for myself. If Master and the elders feel that this book isn't enough, I have another one here. Night Sorrow took out the Gale Blade Combat Skill Book and handed it to Yu Yangyu. Yu Yangyu took the Gale Blade Combat Skill Book and flipped through it. He nodded and said, This is a rank 4 combat skill. It's quite valuable. However, the Wind and Thunder Sword technique is Medicine Valley's signature combat skill. Master needs to discuss this with the elders. Do you have anything else to say? Disciple still has a few words to say, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a moment. The great elder propped himself up with his walking stick and sat up straight. He then looked at Night Sorrow and asked, What do you have to say? The sacred cauldron scripture belongs to Medicine Valley. After I found it, I handed it over and returned it to the sect. However, the Heaven Essence Chi refining scripture and Gale Blade technique are not. The reason why I brought them back to the sect and didn't go to Tianji Tower or other places to exchange for combat skills is because I feel that as a disciple of Medicine Valley, I should contribute to the Medicine Valley and work hard to improve the strength of the Medicine Valley. This is what a disciple should do. For the sake of the sect's disciples and for the sake of the sect's strength, it is the responsibility of Master and the elders, Night Sorrow said after organizing his thoughts. You mean that you have done what a disciple should do, and the rest is up to the sect to think for the disciple, right? The great elder asked. Yes, my senior brother and senior sister have been worried about me for more than a year. I want to do something for them. Night Sorrow nodded. Yu Yangyu waved his hand at Night Sorrow and Yang Lei. You two go back first. Master will discuss this with the elders. If the sect does not agree to this request, Master will bring the ancient book back to you. Night Sorrow bowed and left the hall. Yang Lei bowed to Yu Yangyu, cupped her hands to the first elder and second elder, and then left the hall. She bowed to Yu Yangyu as a master and disciple, but she didn't need to bow to the first elder and second elder because she was also an elder. 13. You dare to say anything. Aren't you afraid that the first elder and second elder will get angry? The disciples of the Medicine Valley should put the sect first. Yang Lei slapped Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. I'm telling the truth. I should return the Holy Cauldron scripture, but these two ancient books are different. My request will not harm the interests of the Medicine Valley. The two chatted as they returned to Taishan Peak and arrived at Aoi's Bamboo Grove house. You two are back. Have you seen Master? Aoi greeted the two when she saw them. At the same time, she asked the maid to prepare food. Yes, 6th senior sister. How many disciples have you had? You must be very busy. Night Sorrow looked at the group of 3rd-generation disciples who were practicing combat skills. It's okay. It's quite lively. 13. Your cultivation speed is a bit ridiculous. Aoi smiled. Then, the three of them sat down to chat and drink tea. Not long after, Yu Yangyu came. Night Sorrow and the others quickly greeted him. Sit down. Aoi, send someone to inform your senior brother and junior brother to come. Yu Yangyu sat down and said, Master, what's the result of the elders' discussion? Night Sorrow asked. If they didn't agree to your request, then wouldn't they have given you the ancient books? After a discussion and asking the Grand Elder, the sect agreed that the 2nd-generation disciples of Taishan Peak, who are your senior brother and senior sister, can go to the library and choose any combat skill. However, only your eldest senior brother and 9th senior sister are qualified to choose the Wind and Thunder Sword art. Your eldest senior brother is the Peak Master and 9th senior sister is an elder. The sect can make an exception and agree to it. Others can't. Yu Yangyu said. Master, what happened? Always sent someone to inform Gong Xian and the others. When she returned, she was still confused. Then, Yang Lei explained the situation to Aoi. 13. It's not good for you to do this. The sect's elders will have opinions about you. Aoi said. She knew that no disciple dared to negotiate with the sect. It's nothing. The first elder and second elder understand that 13 is doing this for the good of Taishan Peak. They just think that 13 is a little independent and has a sense of belonging to Taishan Peak. They don't have any other opinions. Yu Yangyu shook his head. During the elders' discussion, some of the elders had mentioned Night Sorrow's loyalty to Medicine Valley. However, the first elder and second elder refuted it directly. Without loyalty, such an ancient book would not be taken back to Medicine Valley. They also ordered that such arguments were not allowed. Soon, Gong Xian and the others arrived. Only Emo Chen wasn't there. Emo Chen had already gone into seclusion. Everyone who arrived knew what was going on. It was hard for them to thank Night Sorrow. 13, aren't you going to choose a battle skill? Gong Xian asked. I'm not going to choose. I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I already have what I need. Night Sorrow shook his head. That's not right. 13, you've trained in spear techniques, but you don't have any close combat skills. The Zhenyu hand consumes too much energy. Third senior brother doesn't lack any battle skills right now. You should go and choose one. Huanan said. Yang Lei smiled and told him about Night Sorrow's destruction fist technique. I didn't think 13 would know to hold back. Aoi nodded in satisfaction. She was afraid that Night Sorrow would be so careless that he wouldn't hold anything back. Yu Yangyu had dinner with his disciples. He only left after dinner. After Yu Yangyu left, Night Sorrow bid farewell to Aoi and the others. Then he rode his Tianyu to Danding Cliff. His progress in meditation was slow, so he decided to cultivate at Danding Cliff. Original B version 6a, Su Chenbai was very angry. He knew that the Medicine Valley had convened an elders meeting, and even the Grand Elder was involved. However, he didn't know what the meeting was about. He suspected that it had something to do with Night Sorrow and Yang Lei, but he couldn't find out anything. He sent a message to the Golden Flame sect. He felt that it was meaningless for him to continue staying in the Medicine Valley. He could feel that he was being ostracized. This wasn't the first time he sent a message to the Golden Flame sect, but the Golden Flame sect didn't reply. After Night Sorrow rode his Tianyu to Danding Cliff, he let Tianyu return to the Bamboo Grove house on Taishan Peak. Someone would take care of it there. Then he greeted the fourth elder, Lu Chenyun, who was guarding Danding Cliff. It's so late. You still want to climb Danding Cliff? Lu Chenyun asked in surprise. Your disciple's cultivation has improved recently. I plan to settle down here. Sorry to disturb you, fourth elder. Night Sorrow bowed. Alright, take care of yourself. Lu Chenyun nodded. He knew that he wouldn't be able to rest tonight. If something happened to Yishan after he fell down, then he would be held responsible. After 2 hours, Yishan had returned to his position of 4,800 meters. This was something he wouldn't have been able to do in the past. Now that his 10,000 Daos tome had advanced to the 5th level of the muscle-strengthening realm and his true chi had reached the peak of the 7th level of the element-gathering realm, his strength had greatly increased. This time, climbing up was much easier. Chapter 189. At 4,800 meters, Yishan stopped tossing and turning. He sat down cross-legged and began to meditate. Lu Chenyun let out a sigh of relief when he saw Night Sorrow sitting cross-legged. He was really nervous. After cultivating for a while, Night Sorrow stood up and used Zhenyu Hand to consume his Qi and Myriad Dao Tome's energy. He then continued to cultivate and refine his cultivation. After dawn, Night Sorrow began to cultivate his battle skills under the pressure. He cultivated Destruction Fist Arts and Dragon Leap Steps. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, a man was looking at Night Sorrow on the 4,400-meter platform. He was Shi Yunxiao. He had been the Yuan Gathering champion for a long time, so he had some merit points. After entering the core condensation stage, he came here to refine his cultivation. Last night, he was meditating, so he didn't know Night Sorrow was here. After dawn, he found Night Sorrow's shadow. This made Shi Yunxiao feel shocked and helpless. After he entered the core condensation stage, he only climbed 4,400 meters. He knew that there was a lot of pressure in between, but now, Night Sorrow was cultivating this movement skill and battle skill at a distance of 4,800 meters. The difference was too great. When Night Sorrow was tired, he would rest and drink a bowl of wine. The rest of the time, if he wasn't meditating, he would be cultivating his battle skills. The degree of craziness also made Shi Yunxiao understand why Night Sorrow's cultivation increased so quickly. After dawn, disciples of the Medicine Valley came to climb Danding Peak to cultivate. However, they were all quite a distance away from Night Sorrow. Even a core condensation stage cultivator would find it hard to climb 4,800 meters. Lan Yu also came. She was 200 meters lower than Shi Yunxiao. Originally, both of them were 4,200 meters high. Shi Yunxiao's battle skills were better than hers, so he dominated the Yuan leaderboard. Her luck wasn't too good. Just when she had the chance to dominate the Yuan leaderboard, Shi Yunxiao, who was extremely talented in battle, appeared. Now that Shi Yunxiao's cultivation had advanced to the core formation realm, it was reasonable to say that the first place of the Yuan leaderboard should be hers. However, Night Sorrow appeared. She could only continue to stay in the second place. Seeing Lan Yu's arrival, Shi Yunxiao's body flashed and landed 4,200 meters away. "You're here. If I don't come, I'll be left behind by you," Lan Yu said. "That guy is there too. He's practicing his fist technique up there. I really admire him. When I entered the core condensation stage, climbing up to 4,400 meters is my limit. Now he is running up to 4,800 meters. This is too much." Shi Yunxiao said with a wry smile. "What kind of talent does Night Sorrow have? His strength is incomparable. His arms and legs have at least 10,000 gene of strength." Lan Yu said, "How would I know?" "When I was meditating last night, he wasn't there yet. This morning I found him cultivating up there," Shi Yunxiao said. "The feeling of powerlessness is too strong. I'm not afraid of opponents with strong talent. As long as they work hard, they can catch up and surpass them. It's this kind of talented and crazy person that makes people feel helpless." Lan Yu looked up at Danding Cliff and shook her head. Night Sorrow forgot himself and practiced his cultivator's killing fist technique. He fought against the pressure from Danding Cliff. When his Zhen Qi was exhausted, he continued to meditate. Using the pressure from Danding Cliff to refine his cultivation at the peak of the 7th level of element gathering stage, Night Sorrow planned to break through when the sky turned dark. During the day, Night Sorrow really didn't dare to, because he was afraid that other people would disturb him when climbing Danding Cliff. But in the middle of the night, there wouldn't be any newcomers. Besides, climbing in the middle of the night was very dangerous. If one's hand or foot slipped, they would fall down. No one would climb in the middle of the night. After being refined by the pressure from Danding Cliff, Night Sorrow's Zhen Qi, which was already at the peak of the 7th level of element gathering stage, became even pure. Using the energy from the 10,000 Dao Tome in his body to withstand the pressure from Danding Cliff, he used all his Zhen Qi to break through. Night Sorrow had no problems in breaking through. He even expanded his Dan Tian to its limit. In the second half of the night, he successfully broke through to the 8th level of element gathering stage. After breaking through to the 8th level of element gathering stage, Night Sorrow continued to use the energy of the 5th level of muscle strengthening stage to withstand the pressure from Danding Cliff and stabilize his cultivation. Night Sorrow sat for an entire day. Only when the sky turned dark did he get up to practice his fist and movement techniques. Then he continued to meditate. The energy from Danding Cliff was too pure. In just one day, Night Sorrow had stabilized his cultivation at the 8th level of element gathering stage. The night passed. When the sun rose, Shi Yunxiao and Lan Yu both went down. They didn't have enough merit points and couldn't continue to cultivate here. Night Sorrow was in good condition. He stood up and wanted to practice his fist techniques. After a moment's hesitation, He decided to climb up and use up all his Zhen Qi and energy from his body. Then he would go to a higher place to cultivate. After making his decision, Night Sorrow began to climb. Once he started climbing, the platforms below and above Danding Cliff became very lively. Night Sorrow was currently at a height of 4,800 meters. This was a height that was difficult for element gathering stage cultivators to reach. It was a record. But now, Night Sorrow continued to break through. This time, Night Sorrow was much stronger than the last time. Last time, his Zhen Qi was at the 6th level of element gathering stage, and his 10,000 Dao Tome was at the 4th level of muscle strengthening stage. Now, his 10,000 Dao Tome was at the 5th level of muscle strengthening stage, and his Zhen Qi was at the 8th level of element gathering stage. Night Sorrow's cultivation increased, but the difficulty of climbing also increased. Every time he climbed a certain height, the pressure was different. Now, Night Sorrow was under a lot of pressure, so his climbing speed was also slower. When he was 15 meters away from 4,900 meters, Night Sorrow's Zhen Qi was used up. He used his remaining muscle strengthening stage energy to withstand the pressure, and relied on his body's energy to continue climbing. After climbing a step, he needed to catch his breath, and then he continued climbing. The pressure was too great. I'm at the core condensation stage. 4,500 meters is still a huge chasm. This guy is already at 4,900 meters, and he even has the strength to reach 5,000 meters. Shi Yunxiao bitterly smiled. This guy has a secret. Look, he doesn't have any Zhen Qi left, but there's still energy circulating in his body. Lan Yu reminded Shi Yunxiao. Women were very careful, and Shi Yunxiao didn't notice this point. How can this be? No wonder this guy is so ferocious. 2 types of energy. This isn't just a matter of 1 + 1 = 2. Shi Yunxiao said with some surprise. That's right. Lan Yu said as if she had discovered a new continent. Just when the two were surprised, Night Sorrow climbed to the 4,900-meter platform. He lay on top of it to recover his strength. He didn't even have the strength to sit up. It must be known that this height was not something an ordinary core condensation stage cultivator could reach. After an hour, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak state. Looking up at the top of Danding Cliff, Night Sorrow hesitated. He didn't know if he should continue climbing or not. 7G0 only and 1K original version yo. 4G0 only and 6K original version yo. The pressure at the end of every 1,000 meters was the greatest. Night Sorrow was worried that he would fail. When he climbed to 4,900 meters, he estimated that if he didn't break through, he wouldn't even be able to reach 4,850 meters. Chapter 190. Oh my God! Martial Uncle Night is going to climb again. Seeing Night Sorrow move, the disciples of the Medicine Valley became excited. Shi Yunxiao and Lan Yu, who hadn't left yet, looked at each other with shock in their eyes. 5,000 meters was a height that only the late core condensation realm could reach. This animal, if we don't attack him, he'll feel uncomfortable. Lan Yu scolded. Be careful with your words. If the elders find out about your martial uncle, you'll be scolded. Shi Yunxiao said. If they know, then they know. I'm just scolding him. Lan Yu insisted on her point of view, not caring about the expressions of the other onlookers. Lu Qinyun also heard it, but he didn't say anything because he felt that Lan Yu was right. Night Sorrow was an animal. When Night Sorrow began to climb, a man came to Danding Cliff. He looked to be in his late 20s. Seeing this person, many disciples stopped talking. Everyone knew this person. He was Lin Tianjue, who was originally first on the alchemy list. However, some time ago he fell to second place. He was defeated by Taishan Peak's disciple, Emo Chen, and lost the first place. This was what everyone knew. What they didn't know was that the Merit Hall just announced that Taishan Peak's disciple, Emo Chen, was removed from the alchemy list because he entered the 4th rank. Nodding to Lu Qinyun, Lin Tianjue took out his identity plate and began to climb the cliff. His speed was extremely fast. The first 4,000 meters were almost like flying. It didn't affect him at all. What was really affected was that his speed dropped from the 4,000 meters. Although he was strong, he couldn't ignore the pressure. After Night Sorrow rushed to the 4,950 meters, he couldn't hold on any longer. The pressure from Danding Cliff made him put in a lot of effort for every step he took. There were only 20 meters left before the 5,000-meter platform. Night Sorrow couldn't hold on any longer. He knew that he wasn't strong enough. This 5,000-meter platform wasn't something he could challenge. Although he knew that he couldn't reach the 5,000-meter platform, Night Sorrow didn't give up. He continued to climb up. He wanted to keep up with his previous challenge. Soon, Lin Tianjue reached the 5,000-meter high platform. On the 5,000-meter high platform, Lin Tianjue wiped the sweat off his forehead and calmed his breathing. Then, he came to the edge of the platform and slowly drank from a small pot of wine. At the same time, he sized up Night Sorrow, who was trying his best to climb. There was contempt and disdain in his eyes. First equals $, what's wrong with him? He's already at the peak of the core condensation realm, yet he still has the face to look at others like that? Noticing Lin Tianjue's gaze, Lan Yu was a little angry. One had to know that Night Sorrow's ranking on the Yuan leaderboard was above hers. Now that someone was looking down on Night Sorrow, of course she was unhappy. Human nature is unpredictable. Shi Yunxiao coldly snorted. If one stood at the bottom of Pill Tripod Cliff, it would be very difficult to see the situation on the cliff. Shi Yunxiao, Lan Yu, Lu Qinyun, and some other disciples had all climbed to the opposite side of Pill Tripod Cliff. Looking at Night Sorrow, who was looking up and continuing to climb Pill Tripod Cliff, he saw Lin Tianjue's expression and was instantly enraged. No man would be able to stand being looked at with disdain while standing on top of another person's head. With a low growl, Night Sorrow continued to climb up. He couldn't stand others standing on top of him and looking at him with disdain. With a low growl, the veins on Night Sorrow's arms bulged as he struggled to climb up the platform. He's looking for trouble. Martial Uncle Yi will remember him for doing this. Qin Zhan is an example. He's strong now, but in the future. Lan Yu coldly snorted twice. While they were talking, Night Sorrow climbed up the 5,000-meter high platform. There was no pressure on the 5,000-meter high platform, but Night Sorrow didn't have any strength. He took out the reincarnation spear to support his body. Say your name. No one can stand on top of my head and show off. Night Sorrow coldly snorted and said, Lin Tianjue, Qin Zhan's senior brother. I just want to tell you that you shouldn't be too arrogant. Lin Tianjue coldly said, I'm arrogant. You can say that I'm arrogant, but let me tell you, I'll remember today's contempt. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he directly sat down cross-legged and began to cultivate. At this time, it was useless to say more. He wasn't Lin Tianjue's opponent. The gap between the two was too big. Instead of arguing, it was better to cultivate. Actually, Martial Uncle Yi and Su Mu are the same type. The difference is that Su Mu will bite whoever he sees. Martial Uncle Yi will definitely bite whoever provokes him. Lan Yu said, You mean that guy might end up like Qin Zhan? That's right. With the character of a Taishan Peak disciple, he can't be taken advantage of. Shi Yunxiao nodded. Seeing that Night Sorrow was meditating and ignoring him, Lin Tianjue also felt bored. He couldn't continue to provoke him and continued to climb. When he reached 5,200 meters, he began to cultivate. There was a time limit for him to come here. It couldn't be compared to Night Sorrow's unrestricted cultivation. Lin Yeshang recovered a little bit of strength and jumped onto the first small platform below the 5,000-meter platform to start cultivating. Disperse, disperse. Why are you so excited to see him climb? If you have the ability, go up yourself next time. Lu Qinyun began to drive people away. While Night Sorrow was cultivating, the disciples of other Taishan Peak elders came to Always Bamboo Grove and told Night Sorrow about the conflict between Lin Tianjue and Lin Tianjue. Damn, he's courting death. I'll go and deal with him. After the breakthrough, Emotion, who was celebrating with Aoi, immediately became angry. I'll go with you. How shameless of him to bully 13 with his peak core condensation cultivation. Chu Lingfei was also unhappy. Like Emo-chin, she treated Night Sorrow as her younger brother. It wasn't because Night Sorrow helped her and Emo-chin, but because she really liked Night Sorrow. Okay, go. Taishan Peak isn't afraid of trouble. Aoi nodded. After Emo-chin and Chu Lingfei arrived, they waited for Lin Tianjue at the bottom of Danding Cliff. Seeing Emo-chin's arrival, the disciples cultivating at Danding Peak, whether they were coming or leaving, knew that things had gotten out of hand. The news spread quickly and people came one after another. Among them, Tianyue Peak disciples went to inform Luo Daoyuan. Luo Daoyuan was worried that something would happen to Lin Tianjue, so he came too. Aya, not bad. Go back and call the Peak Master or my 9th senior sister. Seeing Luo Daoyuan come, Emo-chin smiled and turned to a second-generation disciple of Taishan Peak. He wasn't afraid of things getting out of hand. If Tianyue Peak wanted to play, Taishan Peak wasn't afraid. Hearing Emo-chin's words, Luo Daoyuan's face changed. Not to mention Gong Xian's identity as Taishan Peak's Peak Master, his cultivation wasn't something he could compete with. Gong Xian usually looked quiet, but if anyone provoked his junior brothers or sisters, he would definitely explode. Not to mention the even more unreasonable Yang Lei. Junior brother Mo, is this necessary? Luo Daoyuan said. Senior brother Luo, what do you mean by necessary? Emo-chin said with a smile. This matter was caused by Tianyue Peak disciples, so it was up to them to solve it. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.